This is the Tame Aperture podcast.
Open the pod bay doors, Cal.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Welcome to the Tame Aperture podcast, where we discuss movies from first-time directors, indie films, art house, and much, much more. Today on the podcast, we dive deep into the 1971 directorial debut, Play Misty for Me, from Hollywood icon Clint Eastwood, starring Clint Eastwood, Jessica Walter, and Donna Mills. A brief fling between disc jockey Dave Garver and obsessed female fan Evelyn Draper takes a frightening and perhaps even deadly turn when a former girlfriend, Tobie Williams, enters the picture. Play Misty for Me premiered in October 1971 at the San Francisco Film Festival and was widely released in November. It was a financial success, grossing $10.6 million at the box office against a budget of only $950,000. I'm Gabe Vienendahl, filmmaker, film instructor, and movie enthusiast, and along with me is Alan Martindale, veteran podcaster and editor. And back from the dead, we have Brandon Richardson, owner-producer at Glamati Road Pictures.
Thank you to be back. I'm glad to be back from the dead.
It's good to have you.
You're alive.
Where you been?
You're alive.
Ironically, the whole month you guys were doing horror pictures, I was working on a B-movie horror picture.
There you go.
That sounds like fun.
It was actually a lot of fun. I'd never worked on a horror picture before, and we had a lot of fun.
What can you tell us about it without divulging too much?
Well, the title is either Stay Out of the Attic or Stay Out of the Fucking Attic, depending on which call sheet you looked at.
Oh, God, I love it. I love it. Give me tickets to the premiere.
It's done.
I'll be first in line.
It's done.
See, we were originally, the whole month of October, we were introducing Alan as a veteran podcaster, horror film fanatic.
Yeah.
But we're now changing it because horror month is over. And now it's editor, his profession.
Nice.
But
I'm gonna
here you got, he's already jonesing
Seriously
to go see this horror film.
Well, let me read you the synopsis. I've got an official
Give
synopsis.
us a quick
while
read
I'll
of it,
do
and
a
then we'll
quick
get
read
into
on it.
the real breakdown.
Let's see. Yeah, we had a lot of fun. It was starring local film veteran actor Michael Flynn. He's been in a lot of local stuff, and you'd know him most likely by face.
So he's the lead.
He's the main villain.
Oh, okay.
He's the main villain. So yeah, he's the main villain. And then also, you're looking up his picture.
Yeah, I am.
You'll recognize him when you see
I
him.
recognize him.
And then also starring Ryan Francis, who played his big break into film was he played a young Peter Pan in Steven Spielberg's Hook in 1992, I believe. Really, really nice guy. Okay, here's the synopsis. Stay out of the fucking attic. We'll use the right title. The past is never dead. It isn't even packed. A diverse group of ex-cons turned movers are convinced by their creepy client Vern Muller to pull an all-nighter for a generous pay bump. As the night progresses and rooms are cleared, they slowly uncover the horrors that exist inside his old Victorian mansion, which include booby traps, human experimentation, Nazi monsters, and more. Will they survive the night?
Nazi monsters.
Yes.
Oh, I'm there. I'm there.
Alan's in.
Seriously. I'm already sold. I love it. I love it.
It was a lot of fun.
Let me see.
Oh, sorry.
I like that picture.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun.
Well, welcome back.
Thank you.
Now we're not doing horror month anymore.
You missed it.
That was the bookend.
That was
the bookend.
Yep, exactly. But this movie we're going to talk about today still has some elements of horror. You could classify it not in horror, but there's a thriller element to it.
Suspense.
And there's definitely a monster in there, and we'll get into that. So the reason let me set it up this way, which is, have either of you seen this film before?
No.
I'd never even heard of it.
Yeah, either do I.
This is why I set it up this way. So we're getting back to our roots, the traditional roots, at least initially when we started the podcast, were first-time film directors.
Yep.
And I thought it'd be fun to take a film from somebody that everybody knows, somebody, Clint Eastwood, of course, starting his career as a huge actor and growing into be a huge actor, and then also eventually moving into directorial, directing features. And so this was his first one. I thought it'd be kind of fun to see where his roots began as a director. And so we chose Play Misty for Me.
I had no idea that his his directorial debut came this far back in the past.
I was kind of surprised too.
I thought it was a more recent, not recent, but I thought it was in the last 20 years
like
or so.
90s
Yeah,
kind of
exactly.
yeah, that's kind of what I thought
I had
too.
no idea that it goes back to the 70s.
Well, he always had ambition to direct, and if you look him up and do some of the research that you can find online, one of his main drives after acting for so long was always to get into a position where he could put his own projects together, and that was always one of his kind of aspirations.
Didn't he own the production company that produced this film?
Yeah, so
okay.
he ended up starting a production company, and this was one of the initiators to that inside that production company to start his first film. But he always had that bug.
Yeah.
And what he said was, when I was doing some research, was what he would do is, as he was an actor coming up over the last 20 years before this in TV, and then of course the famous spaghetti westerns of Sergio Leone. But as he was an actor, he would always study on set. So a lot of times when you're on set, and you guys know this, but when you're on set, actors go back to their own little space, whether it be a trailer or somewhere outside of where everybody else is. And he had mentioned that one of the things that he learned early on was that he would just stick around and he would observe what people did while they were setting up lights, while the gaffers were out putting things up. He'd ask them what they called it. You know, what's an HMI? What's this thing? How do you do the sound this way? And he's like, that was my film school. Yeah. And I wasn't interested in going back and sitting around rehearsing lines because I had put in enough work already that I've already rehearsed the lines and I knew them pretty well. And so I would just study the set. And he's like, after so long of that, after 20 years of that, I was ready to go put my own project together. And so that's kind of the inception of this. And now you look at the movies he's done now, if we jump forward a little bit, like some really great movies, over the last, 10, 15, 20 years. $1
Million Baby, Gran Torino.
Right.
Et cetera, et cetera.
But this is where it starts. It all starts with Play Misty for Me, 1971. So never heard of it. Either you hadn't even heard of it or watched it. Give me, and we'll get into these and we'll walk through the film. We'll kind of walk through the scenes and talk about the performances and the actors and the characters. We'll analytically break it down. Alan, give me, not your rating yet, but that's too early.
Okay.
Give me that first impression when you watch the movie.
Well, first of all, I got to say, I'm not a big fan of Clint Eastwood directed movies. And it's not because I think technically they're phenomenal and they're legitimately good movies, but they're so goddamn depressing that I seriously, I have a hard time with it. It's like ever since I saw, I think it was Mystic River, that was like, and I saw a couple more and I'm like, I'm done. I can't do it.
Mystic River is one you walk away from just feeling really shitty.
Because it sets it up as if it's going to be a really good, like, comeuppance. There's going to be justice. It's going to be a satisfying ending, and it's not at all. And I was just like, I can't do it. I can't do it, man. Like, they're too depressing. And that's saying something for a horror fanatic like me, but it's too realistic. They're too well made almost for me to really enjoy the films for what they are.
And see, and not to get off tangent, but I love Mystic River for that reason. As a parent, it hits hard.
Yeah.
Real hard.
Yeah.
And the acting in that movie is
it's insane. The cast is incredible.
He's always been able to pull in this, and this is one thing that stood out to me rewatching this film, because I hadn't seen it. I had seen it years ago studying film at the university, and I think it was recommended to me by one of my professors for some reason. I don't remember what it was. And I remember watching it going, that was really a shitty movie.
So you forced us to watch it.
And then, well, no, here's the thing. Yeah, so I was like, you guys should watch this movie, man. Clint Eastwood's first film. But then I rewatched it, and my whole position's changed on it. And there's still things that I don't love about it, and we'll get into those. But the position that I had before, it's funny how you grow and you see things differently as you kind of just mature as a person and as a filmmaker. But so initially, going into this film for you, like not a big fan of Clint Eastwood and his directing style and some of the things that he's done in more recent more recent times.
And it's certainly changed since back in the day in this debut. Like it's a much different movie from him than you would see nowadays. But
for sure.
It was I didn't know what it was about. I watched the trailer and I kind of got the gist of it, and it was okay. It was okay. Like I can see why people could enjoy it, but I can also see why people might think the total opposite of it.
Yeah.
There's some moments in there where I'm like, oh my God.
Well, I'm interested to get into some of that and break it down and kind of get a more detailed opinion from you. I'll jump it over to Brandon and ask you about the film. Those initial kind of got Alan's perspective initially as we set it up, as we go into this analysis. Where are you sitting, and what was the first impression of the film?
Well, I did not watch the trailer. I decided to just do naked, just straight up.
That was probably the smart move.
But I guess the overall impression of the film, it's I guess I didn't really see the point of it, like what was he trying to say with it really necessarily. However, the pacing and was on point, and we'll get into the acting and stuff. Like from the overall impression of a movie from 1971, there's certainly worse movies that came out in 1971, much worse. But cinematically, it was great. It was great. There was a lot of big sweeping vistas, and I kind of like those big, opening helicopter shots and all that kind of stuff. So
what's your stance on Eastwood?
My stance on Eastwood,
directorially, not just in this film, but if we do
I can see where he was kind of getting, as Alan mentioned, kind of getting his roots and kind of feeling those out, and kind of feeling. It's got to be difficult to direct yourself in a film and not be able to, especially since he's so predominantly in the film. He's in nearly every scene that I can think of, maybe near the end a couple, but not really a technically challenging movie to make. Pretty much all the same locations, not a lot of, that sort of thing. I think a lot of it was just trying to set up, really just trying to get a phenomenal performance out of Jessica, to be honest. I thought she killed it, but that might be attributed just to her natural acting ability, or
as far as your first film, it's a fairly simple, only a couple setups.
Yeah.
More than a couple locations, couple characters, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not really a technically difficult film to pull off.
But do you like Eastwood?
Do I like Eastwood?
Alan's come out right out the gate just saying, I don't like him, which is good, because I like that.
I've liked
that stance.
I've liked a couple of films he's done, more than others.
Name one.
I did like $1 Million Baby.
Okay.
So depressing.
It is depressing.
So depressing. So any movie you're going to mention in the last 10 years from him, I'm just going to say that because so depressing.
And and really this film, if you're looking at it from a certain vantage point, it's kind of sad too. It's not really a film that, it's not on the same level as those ones you're mentioning, like Mystic River, in terms of the layers that you get into that are dark.
Mm-hmm.
But this film also is not a happy film.
No,
by any means,
despite the music that's playing constantly throughout.
And let's get into that real quick. So we'll jump into it from the opening scene. There's some music playing. It's him basically driving a car through Carmel in California down Pacific Coast Highway. So these beautiful vista shots, aerials, and they're really actually quite nice. They're just kind of, and the music and the tone. And I have to say the font type, the lettering of the movie title.
Yeah.
That like a Saul Bass
bright
type
green.
Immediately felt like a 1970s film, which it should, and also felt like it had an upbeat tone to it.
I thought I was getting into a comedy, to be honest.
Yeah, it kind of felt like it. Yeah.
Again, watching this film completely without knowing anything about it.
Especially in those opening credits.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I was ready for the love bug.
And there's, it's funny how a font type will throw you off.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, that mixed with the opening music and he's bebopping his way down this gorgeous coast, and he lives on a house overlooking the ocean. It doesn't.
It is dark though. I will say that. There's not a lot of bright scenes in the movie. Even when it comes up to him on the porch, he's pretty shrouded in darkness. For opening
For sure.
right,
And
scene.
I did jump the gun because really before he gets in the car and starts driving down Pacific Coast Highway, there's an aerial shot that pushes into him
Yeah.
on the back porch of
that.
his girlfriend's house, which is a foreshadow to the end of the film too,
Yeah.
and what's going to transpire at that exact spot. He's actually looking for this girlfriend. She's actually been vacant or left for a number of months, and he's now coming back trying to find her and track her down, and he's unsuccessful. Then he gets in the car and starts driving around the town in this small little place up in Northern California. So, but it's relatively dark. It's not like, even though it's filmed outside and there's shots that are, during the day and things like that, it's not, they film it in a way that's toned down a little bit, and there's a little bit of contrast to it.
Maybe didn't know how to use the f-stop then, because everything was
Maybe
at least like an 11.
It was
I'm just
it was all
His film goes to 11.
So he's looking for that, and that sets up the real part of the story, which is like him searching for this girlfriend. And then he doesn't find her. He's unsuccessful, and he ends up getting around there. It's discovered that Dave, played by Clint Eastwood, is a local DJ, and he's a local DJ for the local jazz station, right? So he's already. He's kind of, for me, and this is one thing I had a hard time with in the movie, is one thing that's interesting about Clint Eastwood is, like, he's always Clint Eastwood.
Yeah.
Yeah. No matter what.
And what I mean by that is, no matter what the role,
Sorry.
He's got that stare.
It's just that stare. Just
the
like,
look,
just that.
yeah. There's not
You're
a whole
pissing
lot
me
of,
off constantly.
Yeah.
Like, he's constantly pissed off.
there's not a whole lot of range in the emotion
No, there
of
isn't.
his character.
I just kept thinking Dirty Harry the whole time.
Right?
That's just the whole time. I'm like, this is Dirty Harry. He's
Filmed
playing
in-
Dirty Harry.
Filmed and released in close proximity to this film.
Right. I'm not
to this
sure
movie.
which one came out first.
I
but,
can't remember which one came out first, but they're right next to each other.
Right.
I think Dirty Harry was first, because I think that might have given him a little bit of clout in order to get this in the director's seat.
That'd be my guess.
Yeah.
So
Anyway, Alan's on it.
I'm looking. I'm
yeah,
looking it up.
I mean, I don't know which one came out first, but I have a hard time already going. I had a hard time. It's funny because you can pigeonhole and stereotype actors, of course.
Sure.
I had a hard time getting past the fact that he was a DJ.
See, I really, I mean, I'm big into radio and podcasting and all that kind of stuff, obviously. So I kind of like that because he walks in the station and he's got his DJ buddy, and that guy is just rocking it on the mic. Like he's got a cadence going, he's got all the lingo going, he is just killing it. And then Clint Eastwood gets in there and he's like, "All right, we're gonna play some music now."
Gonna do
It's
some,
just like,
hey,
okay,
some soft sultry.
exactly, yeah, exactly,
Make my
Read
day.
some poetry.
exactly. So
You didn't like that he read poetry for his. For
I
his
liked
gig?
it. I liked it, but it was just a stark contrast to the leading guy.
But he gets to the station, and then it's established, like you were saying, that he's this DJ, and he does. But I mean, beyond the character, I like the idea that the character is a DJ. That's
Right.
cool. Kind of that's always fun. If you look at other movies that have DJs or some kind of radio personality, like you can do a lot of fun with that character.
For sure.
But Eastwood is Eastwood, so it doesn't, like you're saying, it doesn't quite.
Right.
That dude's he's popping, he's going. The first guy's, his contemporary. He hands off the mic to Eastwood, and then it's just like,
Right, exactly. Energy just sucked out of the room.
yeah.
But Dirty Harry and
It came out after.
oh, did it?
I'm guessing.
Same year. Same year. So I don't know which one came out first.
I got you.
This one came out in October.
This came out in
right?
October, so I'm assuming that Dirty Harry I would anticipate that Dirty Harry
Was a summer movie.
is a summer movie. Yeah,
That'd be my guess.
that'd be my guess too. So they come out in the same year, but we'll get back to Play Misty for me. So he's in this. There's something about the way that I'm not really overly interested in his character immediately because he's just so
He's kind of a douche.
straight-laced, and he kind of is a
He's total douche.
Yeah,
He
he's kind of a
is.
douche.
Yeah.
right. What
Total douche.
what stands out though and makes you say that? The interaction.
I guess sort of the interaction and is just his kind of willy-nilly attitude towards what's Jessica's character name again? Evelyn.
Yep.
And towards Evelyn and kind of just, oh well, I'm just gonna grab a free screw here and let's whatever, and I don't know.
Well, let's break it down.
Yeah,
so people,
I mean,
you're jumping the gun on the story. Let's
sorry.
No,
My
keep
fault.
going.
Well, no, I mean that's part
But
of the
we're
main
still
reasons. Yeah,
we're just establishing who this guy is as a character.
and he doesn't even really give a shit about his DJ job. I'm not giving that. Like it's almost like a gateway to something else he wants to do.
And that actually plays into the character because I think
Yeah.
ultimately the character is a guy looking for something bigger.
Yeah,
He's at a small station, and it's evident throughout the story
Right.
when we go into it that he's looking for a bigger gig.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right. I think there's something there hinting, and maybe I'm not giving him enough credit. Maybe that was part of how he was playing the role. But I just can't get past his nonchalant approach to everything.
Oh, he's the same guy in everything he plays. He's the same guy.
Yeah. A little bit disgruntled.
Right.
A little bit edgy.
He's got some demons.
Yeah.
He's got some skeletons in his closet.
Holding on to something.
Yeah, for
a little
sure.
squinty.
A little squinty.
A little. Now, keep in mind, look, paint it however you want, because I think we're all painting it the same way. Clint Eastwood is an icon.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
No, there's no doubt.
Not just like a star, but actually when it comes to Hollywood, you can literally paint a silhouette of his figure and people would go, that's Clint Eastwood,
Yeah.
icon.
Yep.
So even though we're kind of bashing him a little bit, which is fine because the character is what it is, like I still say that with a little bit of humble regard to, hey, this guy is a Hollywood icon.
He is a Hollywood icon.
But going on, he doesn't really, not really interested in this role that he has too much because he's trying for something bigger.
Mm-hmm.
He's looking for something bigger. He ends up going to a local bar, and his buddy works behind the bar. And by the way, that's director Joel Siegel.
Yep.
Yeah. So.
And he had directed him in a few
Yeah,
things.
he had done a lot of things with him. And I read an interesting story about how Clint made Joel, the bartender, do 11 takes.
Oh, and I read this too.
After the 11th take, he goes, "Okay, guys, put film in the camera." So I thought that was kind of funny. They had a little, but he was not only someone that Eastwood they weren't just partners, but actually he looked up to Joel Siegel from a directorial stance. And as I was researching, had a lot of admiration for him because he had directed him in a lot of previous roles in previous movies. But he's behind the counter. He's running the bar. You can tell he's getting free drinks. Say, put it on my tab, that kind of stuff. But it's after the show's over, and he's there, and he sees a woman in the bar, and this woman is Jessica Walter, and her character's name is Evelyn Draper. And they kind of snag her into showing interest. She's there waiting for someone else. That person never showed up. She comes over eventually and starts to garner some interest in Eastwood's character.
Well, and this is the part
the game.
that go ahead.
Sorry, I was gonna say with the game, like they've obviously done this game before.
Yeah.
It's the hey, play this game for me because I want to bang that chick over there.
Yeah.
Game.
Yeah.
Because one thing they mention, he's like, I'm freelancing, and what that means is like he's taking every chick he can.
Yeah.
Totally. But this is the part where I'm like, holy shit, that's Jessica Walter. Because I don't know her from anything other than Arrested Development and Archer.
Yeah.
And she's the same character in that.
Yeah.
And so it felt a little creepy. I'm not going to lie. It felt like watching an old woman be a seductress. Like it was strange. It was strange because I could only see her as Lucille Bluth.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, I think anybody our age, that's the immediate
Right.
go-to.
Right.
I wonder how old she was. I want to look up how old she was when she made this film.
Yeah,
She made the movie.
Yeah, because
call.
now I'm curious.
But he goes over. She comes over to him. They hit it off. Is she? Do you know was there any indicator that she's crazy?
I didn't see one. Again, I went into it blank. I just thought it was not till later.
Yeah.
No.
I don't know if it was the trailer or because the trailer didn't really explain who's crazy and what's going on. But to me it was like, well, she's obviously there waiting for him. Like, she's the Misty chick. I already, that was telegraphed in. I could see that. So, that something was a little weird where, she's striking out. Guys are striking out all night is what the bartender said. And she comes up to him. I mean, you could tell what was going on. But as far as, could you tell she's crazy? I don't think so. You could tell she had an ulterior motive.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think she's crazy. But what's interesting now, knowing what we know, is that that she is indeed waiting for him. She's the one. And one thing we neglect to mention, of course, which is pivotal to the story, is that before he left for the night for after doing the gig, she's one that always calls in and says, "Play Misty for me."
Right.
And so
the titular phrase.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly. So that's always we need to make sure people are clear with that if anyone hasn't seen the film.
She is the 30-year-old person. She was 30.
She was 30
when she made the film. When the film came out, so she probably filmed it when she was 29.
I thought she was cute.
Oh,
yeah, I thought so too.
I mean, it's hard to get past Bluth and Arrested Development.
It really is.
And I still see her that way.
Yeah.
And that's a great series, and she's so good in it.
Oh, she's so good, yeah.
She's almost
but
kind of the same
she's
character.
She's got an essence of Evelyn in there.
Yeah,
for
sure.
Not quite as crazy. Not quite as crazy because we'll get into it.
Yeah.
Murdering people is another level.
Well, and she's able to...
Because Lucille doesn't murder people.
No, and Lucille can't mask it as well as Evelyn can. Evelyn's able to mask it.
That's good, yeah.
Nice.
So they end up shacking up, go back to Dave's place, Eastwood's place. They shack up, and he thinks it's a one-time thing.
He even makes it clear.
He's pretty straightforward right out the gate. He says something to the effect of no strings, or they have a thing. Does he say? I can't remember if he actually says it.
It's something along those lines, but he also he mentions that he's hung up on a girl.
That's
right.
right.
That's what it was.
And so it's pretty clear that...
Was that on the first night or the second night?
It was the first night.
Was it the first night?
She responds with saying, "Well, that doesn't mean we can't sleep together tonight."
Yeah,
that's right.
So it's pretty clear that he's trying. He's trying really hard because he thinks that this girl that he lost is gonna fix him and fill that hole in him. But he's trying. But he's still a womanizer.
He's still a womanizer.
Yeah.
Right. They sleep together.
I think all DJs are.
And all DJs are womenizers.
Oh yeah, for
That's
sure.
100%.
Part
of the job.
Part of the gig. It's part of the gig.
Maybe in the 70s.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I can think of a lot of DJs now that are not womanizers.
Well, womanizers wannabes.
Oh yeah,
okay.
For sure.
Okay. So they sleep together. Still not entirely convinced that she's crazy at this point, right? There's no hardcore indicator that, hey, this girl's insane. Right.
Not the first night, no.
She's playing it pretty normal. You're thinking, oh, this Dave guy's just getting laid, and it's all good. No big deal. I mean, you kind of know just based on if you read the plot or you had seen the trailer, you might start to put two and two together. But eventually, you're not thinking anything too crazy. The next day, he's at his house, and I'm jumping through some scenes here, but we'll get through the concept of it. And she just randomly shows up with groceries.
As if it's her place and she's expected.
He's with his buddy, the guy that he DJs with.
Love this guy, by the way.
This guy's great.
He's the best part of the movie.
I'm trying to remember his name, and I just went blank. It's Almonte? Yeah, that's his name, right?
Almonte, yep.
Yeah. And they're the DJs at the station together, and they're there talking. And he's talking about how Tobie, who's the girl that he's really interested in, is back and all this kind of stuff. And then Evelyn just shows up with groceries. And I think at that point I started going, that's okay. Something strange there.
Right.
No? Do we have any stories to relate to this, Brandon?
Well...
Crazy girls?
Yes.
I think everyone's got a little bit of...
I think everyone's got one.
Everyone's got at least one.
You know who you are.
So...
Well, they probably don't.
Yeah, right? They have no idea.
At this point, and he kind of calls her out.
Yeah.
Pretty
hardcore, too.
Dave calls her out pretty hardcore. Like,
he's like, what are you doing?
What are you doing here? Like, what the hell's going on? What if that was with another woman?
Yeah.
That's the first thing. One of the first things he says is like, what if I was with another woman? And then she plays into this character so well.
She really does.
Why though? What is it about the character? And there's something in here, not necessarily the dialogue per se, but there's something in the way that she responds to his. That plays into it so well.
Well,
do you remember how she responds?
Yeah, well, I can't remember what she says, but it's just like the look on her. I remember the look on her is like this incredulity. Like, well,
no.
clearly,
Here's what she does.
like,
Well,
I mean,
that too.
but just I'm just saying this.
Yeah, absolutely. But the thing that what plays in this is where I knew she was crazy. The groceries were one thing,
Right.
because you're like, oh, that's kind of weird, but maybe like
Maybe she's just being nice.
exactly. Like I'm
Yeah.
serious. Like on that first, I mean, you did just have sex,
Right.
and then they're trying to be cordial and nice, and maybe just like, hey, let's have dinner. Let's actually try to understand and know each other. But when I knew she was crazy is when, and her acting so good because she goes, and I don't remember the exact line, but she's like, well, if you want me to leave, I guess I'll just leave. She played this reversal because after he got heated up and angry, she's like, well, okay. Like this, like the pet the dog that's been beaten. You know what I mean?
So manipulative.
So manipulative.
And it's like, I mean, everyone has had these situations, right?
Yeah.
And where it's maybe not like stalker. I've never had a stalker, but you had people that it's just like, what? No.
Yes. What are
and
you
it
doing?
just kind of brought back those feelings. She did it so well that you can see the manipulation. And you just cringe like, oh my God, that is the worst. I know what's happening right now.
As soon as she plays the poor puppy,
Yeah.
and then he goes, well, maybe we'll just maybe use a phone next time.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, they're kissing again, and he's like, I gotta stick it.
Yeah. He's got you, man.
He's like, but that's when I knew for me, like, this girl's crazy.
Right.
See, I didn't think she was crazy at that point. I thought she was just that girl.
Yeah.
Still at that point.
I knew.
I know you knew, but I didn't know.
There is a seriousness in Gabe's face right now.
I didn't know at that point. I just thought it was that girl.
Your intuition fails you.
Yeah.
You are not a master Jedi.
Apparently, I'm not a master Jedi.
That's a bummer, man.
That's cool.
You got to be on the alert. You never know. These cycles are popping up
Maybe
everywhere.
you're just too nice. Maybe that's what it is.
When she freaked out over that, I don't remember what it was, but she had a moment where she just lost her shit all of a sudden. That's when I was like, ooh. So it wasn't then. It was later.
Yeah. So what ends up happening? They sleep together again. Again. He can't resist. He apparently loves Tobie, this other girl that we haven't met yet, by the way.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
In the film. However, he just keeps sleeping with this other woman.
And this is why I say he's kind of a douchebag, because it's like he doesn't understand that there's another option. It's like, well, she's here. Of course I'm going to. Why wouldn't I? And it's like, no, dude. You care about this other girl. You're trying to change. You're trying to. And we find out later that this is an ongoing problem. This is your opportunity to say no. Like there's another option here.
God bless the 70s.
Exactly.
You can't say no.
Not in the
say no.
1970 fucking one. You don't say no. You're like, okay. Have you had your shot? No, whatever.
So you're saying story-wise, as a character arc from his perspective, from Dave's perspective, he should be able, because he really does like Tobie.
Right.
So, but he's still drawn in sexually.
He likes
to
the
this
attention.
other woman.
He likes the attention.
It's
He likes to be
it's
loved.
still a willing and wanting woman.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's hard for him to say no.
Right.
But from a character perspective, you would hope there would be a little more resistance.
Exactly.
Because in that scene when she brings the dinner or the food, the groceries, and then at the end of that, he's like, well, let me get some wine. And you're like, now you're really, like you're saying, you're playing into that
Right.
Yeah.
way differently than maybe you should.
Exactly.
So they end up sleeping together, and then the next day, we find out that we meet.
Was that when he goes after the girl in the sweater?
Yeah, because we meet. Now there's.
Or did I miss?
No, that's it.
Okay.
We meet Tobie. But based on him driving down the street and recognizing a blonde girl with a sweater that he has seen, and so he follows the girl and says, "Oh, I thought you were someone else."
Yeah.
And then that leads him to Tobie's house, and this is a girl that Tobie is now roommates with. She's basically rented out her house.
Yeah.
Or a room in her house to this girl. And so he goes. So now he knows that Tobie's back in town.
Right.
Because up to that point in the story, the idea is that we kind of get potential insight that he liked this girl. We didn't meet her. We haven't met her yet. Now we meet her. And there's this interaction between the two of them. He goes and hunts her down and goes to her house and asks where she was. And she's very kind of a little bit standoffish and
half answers.
Doesn't really explain where she was or where she's been, but she's been gone for quite some time, or at least a little while. But he asks her if they have some time, and they go out and start talking and catching up. And this is where we get a little glimpse into his character, that this womanizer was a problem. Also between him and Tobie. Like, he's been sleeping around for who knows how long and has never been able to stop this.
Right.
He's a sex addict.
For sure.
That's what people call, that's what you call him nowadays, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So it's just all discovered. But this scene's kind of weird to me in the way that it's edited. Did you notice that? In the editing of the scene?
I did notice that.
When they're walking and we're getting all this background and Tobie's telling him how, oh, there's just another girl out there and she's going through but it's cutting.
Oh, yeah.
She mentioned something where you have the blonde to keep you company.
Yeah.
And you see her saying these words, and then it cuts to a different scene, and she's saying the same thing.
And also like a whole entirely different location.
Right. And I understand probably kind of what they were trying to do is that there's so many that it's taking all these, all this time to go over them all.
Yeah.
But it seems sloppy to me.
They're playing with time and space.
Yeah.
And so I get that. But yeah, the editing of it, it seemed so abrupt.
It was jarring.
And a little off-putting.
Yeah.
Although I will say, if you're looking at it to a degree, it did deliver the information.
Yeah.
Just through the lines, which was like, hey, we now know exposition to this character, which is like he's a womanizer.
Yep.
But I thought the editing style was really wonky and off. And I thought that was kind of an interesting. I think that, to me, if I look at it as a filmmaker, I think part of that has to deal with the fact that this is where there's growing pains to being a first-time director.
Right.
And how do you cover this sequence of events and block it out and set it up so that the two of them can have an interaction? And in his case, he's really taking them all over the town.
Right.
And cutting time and space all around, and it just feels wonky. It feels weird.
Does. Yeah, it does.
And maybe he didn't shoot the coverage, and that was the editor like, well, this is what I have.
Could be.
And that's what I mean. I almost feel like that conversation, from a technical standpoint, as a filmmaker, like why does that have to be in like 10 different locations?
Right.
Right. It's like, let me just.
Well, there's a lot of that in this movie. Not so much wonky editing, but there's a lot of weird sequences in different locations that are. It's like, why
we'll get into the porn montage later.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I didn't rewatch
it. So, but anyway, Misty reveals, and you can tell there's a little something there. There's a spark between these two characters, and so then he goes and grabs a drink. He's back at the bar.
Back at the bar.
In the terms of the storyline. Now I'm skipping around a little bit, but he's back at the bar, and he's basically telling the bartender, who played by Joel Siegel, that Tobie's back in town and all these kind of things. And while he's at the bar, a phone call comes in.
Oh, yeah.
And the phone call is from Evelyn, and she's telling the bartender, "Hey, is Dave there?" And Dave's like, "I'm not here." He's basically like, "No," and the bartender.
Right.
Plays it off.
Buddy, yeah, he's got his back.
And then he walks outside to get in his car.
Well, we see that she's watching beforehand that.
True. We actually get a cut to her outside at the phone booth.
So we know she's out there.
Yeah, we know that she's at the bar outside calling. And when Dave walks outside, or Eastwood, I'll call it, not to confuse people, but because Dave. Everyone's like, "Who's Dave?"
Yeah, who the hell's Dave? Such
Eastwood from now on. It's Eastwood.
Clint walks out. I'll just call him Clint.
First name best.
Yeah. So Clint walks outside, and Evelyn is in his car.
In the back seat.
In his car.
No, she's in it's a coupe.
Oh, it's a coupe. That's right.
It's just funny. It looked like in the car.
In the car, sitting and waiting for him.
I mean, and that was that was a good choice because she could have easily just stormed up and yelled at him or kind of surprised him, bumped into him. But
Even
the
lean
fact that
against the
she's-
car. I
Yeah,
mean,
even leaning against the car, but inside the car, that's another sign that this chick is insane.
It's also it's an ownership.
Exactly.
Yeah, like
just like showing up with the groceries.
Yeah, it's
exactly.
ownership.
That's interesting that if you tackle it, all these actions that she's taken up to this point, the physical actions are all about a sense of, in her way, power. Because to walk, that's a power move
Totally.
with the groceries, and that's another power move, like you're saying, to be in the car. So every physical action she's taking is a power move. But she's in there, he walks out, and he's like blown away.
Yeah.
As much as Clint Eastwood could be blown away.
Whoa.
He walks out and he's like, "What are you doing in my car?"
He's gonna find us.
Yeah,
Anyway.
seriously, he's going to
Eastwood-
track us down.
Now he's too old to be a problem, but
He's gonna be like, "Go ahead, make my day." He don't give a shit about us.
no.
We're just a fucking no-namers.
He's our 7th subscriber.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wish he was.
That'd be sweet.
Um,
Yeah, so they have the conversation out there, and she takes his keys.
No, he gets in the car and he's like, "I really got to go.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Let me get me out of here." And she's like, "Okay, well, I guess you have things to do." And then it does a cut to an insert shot of her grabbing his keys, pulling him out of the ignition, and jumping out of the car and waving him and like, "Come here, boy."
I thought she was going to throw him in the bushes.
That's
Yeah.
what I
I
thought.
thought for sure.
Yeah, but
Or
it's
the
worse
ocean.
than what she does because
Absolutely.
she starts taunting him like a dog. She's jingling the keys.
She
and
thinks it's playful.
yeah, but she's going, "Come here, boy."
Like cutesy and
right,
playful.
right.
And
Yeah,
he doesn't
that
see
pissed me off.
Yeah.
I was on Clint's side on that one. I'm like,
Yeah, I
nah,
was too.
nah.
I was like, "You don't play with my keys."
That's
No.
a Jaguar. What are you doing?
That's a nice car, by
Yeah.
the way.
Dude, he's making a lot of money for a DJ. I'll just say that. For a local overnight
Right?
DJ.
Right, because now we get into his car, which is a
Daddy's
beautiful
money.
car.
Yeah.
It was a
Daddy's money.
Jag Coupe, right?
Yeah, I think it was a coupe,
57 Jag Coupe or something like
something
that.
like that.
It's a beautiful car. And also he lives in this real where does he
Yeah,
live?
it's
It's like a
insane.
log cabin
It's-
slash weird beach house slash, you know what I mean?
Right, it's crazy.
What is it?
I have no idea.
Because you walk out on a pond. You
Oh,
got
yeah. That's
Yeah.
right. It's
I'm-
like,
Oh, I
it's
forgot
like an
about the
old
pond.
Italian, like ancient Roman,
It's strange.
the way they have like an atrium with like a
Right.
pond. It's bizarre. It's
Right.
bizarre.
It's
So he's-
definitely above his pay grade. Daddy had money. Clearly.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
had
Something.
Yeah.
Because there's no way that his
An
Carmel
overnight DJ.
a 5-hour night DJ in
yeah,
Carmel was,
exactly.
was making this kind of money.
And he alludes a couple times during the film that no one listens.
yeah.
Oh, I didn't know anyone was listening.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, later on he's like, no one listens to the
Yeah.
show. So he wasn't making that kind of money.
Right.
No, he was making 25 grand a year tops.
Yeah, for
Tops.
sure.
Tops.
But okay, we digress.
We digress as we do.
But-
Is it me? Do I cause the digression?
No.
Okay, cool.
We all just
Back and
but she's out there dangling the keys and this pisses him off. We all are in his shoes and we sympathize for that. Then he goes around and she starts running off. Like kind of jetting off, and he goes and he grabs her and gets a little bit handsy, a little physical.
Mm-hmm.
And then these two guys in the bar are coming out and they're like, "Do you need help?"
Oh, that's right.
And he's like, "Get out of here!"
Right.
And then she's like, "Yeah, you assholes!" And
I
you're
mean,
like,
but forceful, like,
the
oh.
rage in her
the
voice.
rage in her voice, and you're like, "What just happened?"
I love that part though.
See, I
That
think
was
that
so
might have been
good.
the part I was talking about. There was
Well,
an
then-
outburst. I'm like, oh, okay, she's off her
I
rocker.
got the power moves before, but that one, then you go, but the performance on that, and when she turns around and calls them assholes, and the anger, like you said, in her voice was like, this chick's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, those dudes were messing up her
Right.
situation.
Well, they were also
Yeah.
asking if she needed help,
Right.
Oh yeah, that's
Right.
true.
and she was telling him off.
It's like, yeah,
She called them assholes.
Yeah. Only because he told them to go away, and she's
Right.
like, "Yeah, you go away, assholes." And
Right.
you're like, "Oh my gosh, this lady's crazy." They were just seeing if she needed to get, if she was getting hurt by this guy. So at this point, crazy.
crazy,
Crazy.
clearly crazy.
Alarm bells are going off everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah, it's
I think at this
Bail.
point he kind of knows too. It does a little cut to him, and you see his face like a Clint Eastwood face
yeah.
again.
Yeah.
It's like it goes from this to this.
the same expression.
The same expression.
exact expression.
But he plays it well.
He does. Yeah. Somehow you know what he's going for, though.
That's kind of funny because, there's a little bit of static expression. It's just like it just kind of stays one way. But it is funny because you can, in some way, he does still have a little
It's
hint.
like a half tilted eyebrow or something. That's like the range of his different expressions.
Are you telling me that he did the tilted eyebrow before The Rock?
Well, no. Clint is way more subtle. Like it's barely perceptible, but it's just enough that you know exactly what emotion he's supposed to be feeling.
It's like 1/4 of The Rock's
exactly.
eyebrow tilt.
Exactly.
Well, did you know that his nose flares out a little bit when he's
yeah, that's right.
mad?
I
don't know
wonder if she ad-libbed that.
I know. You wonder.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be
And
surprised.
by the way, that actually is a pretty famous line in movie history.
Is it?
It is.
Had no idea.
Yeah. It is a pretty famous line.
Do you know that your nose flares when you're angry?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what it is?
Uh-huh. So
Okay.
I wonder if she ad-libbed that. It's kind of.
I don't know. Does Clint Eastwood strike you as the kind of guy who allows a lot of ad-libbing on set?
Actually, he does.
Does he really?
No, I wouldn't say a lot.
Right.
But if it happens,
But I don't think he's as. What's funny is here we'll get into this now, because I think that directorially he's great with actors.
Oh yeah, for sure.
he pulls.
I don't think
yeah.
he's good at acting for certain roles, like we've already discussed, and he can't do everything because his
Right.
range isn't there.
Right.
But for what if you go back to the spaghetti westerns or the Dirty Harrys, or even to something a little later as like Unforgiven, he fits those roles perfectly. And they're really good, and you can fall into them and you can believe them. Not going to get huge range out of him in other things, but those movies that he makes later, and we were discussing Mystic River, I think directorially as an actor's director, he's really, really, really good at getting actors to take on that character in a way that they might not have otherwise. I think he's a good actor's director.
Well, I think being such a legendary actor
himself, exactly.
I think he can get in that headspace, and that's one thing a lot of actors or a lot of directors don't understand actors. Like I don't understand actors. I don't know how they do what they do. I've tried, and it's a disaster every time I try. So I don't know how to get them to do those things. And I think if you're a trained actor and you know the core of the craft and the fundamentals and everything that goes into it, then you can relate to them on a level that just other people just can't.
So I think, and I haven't done research on this, he's probably more lenient to those ad-libs. And I'm not saying that line is ad-libbed. I don't know. But I think he's more lenient to those than you might expect him to be because of his demeanor.
Just because he's so intimidating
as a straight-laced guy.
Right.
Because one thing he does do, and this is on record, which is he doesn't call action.
Oh, really?
So once everybody settles, he doesn't do the traditional action. Once they do marker, sound speed, camera rolling, he doesn't call action. He just sits for a second and he tells the actors whenever you're ready.
Interesting.
That's what he says. So I think he's more, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think he's more up to the
He's not Hitchcock who's bullying the actors on set.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Right.
Even though
not
that
Kubrick.
is his character and his persona.
I mean, that's what we built him up for. At least I have in my head is like, dude, he's badass, man. Even at like 90 years old, he's still kicked my ass.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
In
Very
Gran
likely,
Torino,
yes.
he comes out blazing.
Yeah, he does.
Like he's
Yeah,
going
he
to
does.
fuck somebody up. So, but back to this point where he kind of gets now in the story, Dave, the character, is like, okay, this bitch is crazy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He knows now, but he still appeases her to a degree. He knows.
Sure.
So he goes off, and all the meanwhile in the storyline, he's also amping for that bigger job.
Yep.
He's prepping, and in the B line or the secondary storyline is that he's trying to get this bigger DJ job in San Francisco. And that comes into play a little bit later. Right. So now we know, and I think, going back to his directing style and also going back to his acting style, and now it's evident, and I think we've said this already a little bit, but I think that Jessica Walter and this is her performance is so good.
Oh, it's great.
It's phenomenal.
It's the exact contrast that I needed to Clint Eastwood's performance.
Absolutely. You had to have something like that.
It'd almost be unwatchable without her.
It really would be. It really would be.
Because Tobie wasn't that great.
No.
No.
Just forgettable.
She's a means to an end.
Not bad, but not,
Played by Donna Mills.
Sorry, Donna.
But I agree. I don't think, and it's also how the character is written. I mean, look, the character of Evelyn is fun to play because there's power, there's schizophrenia, there's crazy, there's an altitude to it. Like you can keep going up and up and up and up because there's so much complexity to that character.
Right.
And it's the perfect contrary point to his, which is he's a flat character.
Totally.
No, and I don't mean just his performance, but
Sure.
like as a character, Dave's flat.
Right.
There's nothing complex about Dave other than he likes sex.
Yep.
Well, what man doesn't?
Right.
I
Other
like
than
sex.
Brandon.
I prefer not to.
I prefer.
But and we were kind of talking about that with Jack Nicholson in The Shining. Is do you got to be a little crazy to play that character? Like, do you have to have that in you? And this is my ignorance for acting. I don't know how you get in that mindset unless you're a little bit like that. Unless you have it in you somewhere.
You know what's interesting? I've thought about this a lot. Not a lot, but I've thought about this because I have huge admiration for actors. Love actors. Yeah. I'm an actor's director. Not because I act, because I suck. Mm-hmm. But I'm almost out of. It's not envy, but it's or jealousy. But I'm like, man, how do they do what they do?
It's an admiration.
A huge admiration.
Right.
Because I'm always just like, fuck, I wish I could do that.
Yeah, me too.
I really do.
Me too.
And I just can't. I love directing, but I cannot get into that mindset of becoming or doing somebody else. So we talked about this briefly, and I don't know. I just think she's a hell of an actor in this case. I don't know that there's really anything there that, and I don't know her.
Right.
But like indicates to me that she's actually got a little spark of crazy.
But it's just the way she turns. And that's the thing.
And it's so believable. I mean, it's in her eyes.
Right.
Like, and I think that's what her big thing is. It's in her eyes. You see that intensity.
There's a rage
and that,
in there.
Like, just whatever that is, it just turns on. You're like, oh, shit. It's like,
yeah.
And there was a few of those moments. And you don't get that from Clint. You don't get that. And it's not by design. You don't. But just, I mean, she's just that loose cannon that, oh, my God, what's she going to do?
And we talked about this before, but, we've dealt with people like that before. And it feels real. Like, it feels like I've seen that before. I've absolutely seen that turn and that rage before.
Yeah.
Just like that.
Yep.
So it's totally believable.
I just think she's a good actor. I think that's what it comes down to in this case. I don't know that she's got that in her innately. Like, that's not her being. Mm-hmm. I just think she's really good. I mean, it's an indicator too. I mean, she did get nominated for a Golden Globe for.
Did she win or just nominated?
Actress. She got nominated. She didn't win. She lost to Jane Fonda.
Fucking Jane Fonda.
That's what I say. So, coming back to the story a little bit. So it's a real indicator now. We kind of get the good essence of who Evelyn is. It's still ramping up though, because it's going to get crazy.
Yeah.
And so that's the one thing I do like, and really thought that they played out well, which was the trajectory of the character. And like I say, it's so much more easy for that character to have such believability and such interest from the viewer because she's got that complexity and she's got that layer. So it's funner to watch.
Yeah.
And to ramp as it ramps up.
But I gotta throw a little bit of credit to Eastwood as well. I mean, him kind of slowly figuring that out and dealing with that situation, I thought was portrayed pretty well. I mean, as far as just, because that could be difficult too, to try to be that counter to her craziness and figure out at what point, and that's to his directing and to the writing, at what point where he's like, that's fucking it. And but I mean, he kind of has that. I don't want to jump too far ahead, but he goes back into the sympathy mode, and so playing that is I thought was well done in that respect, to counter her craziness and figuring out where to line. Where do you land with where she's at in her next level of craziness? Okay, where am I?
Yeah,
Right. So how do I deal with
how do I
this, and how do I portray where now I'm 100% sure she's batshit crazy. Right. Now, how do I? Yeah.
Yeah, and because you don't want him to go so far over the top.
Exactly.
As her trajectory grows, he also has to grow a little bit, but it can't be so crazy that he starts to turn into her or become angry. You know what I mean?
There were a couple times I thought he might get physical with her.
Yeah.
There were a few times throughout this movie. I'm like, he's gonna hit her.
Do you remember one?
At the restaurant later on, even when she's messing with his car keys, the way he kind of grabbed her, I was like, oh, he's gonna hit her. He's gonna hit her. Like, this is 1971. Things are a lot more permissible back then.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell is happening?
That's a whole nother tangent.
Yeah.
The restaurant, I thought he was gonna.
I totally did.
Well, are we there yet? Or we're not quite there.
We're not quite to the restaurant,
where are we
but
at? I just lost. We got
so
sidetracked.
We were
past the keys.
And then
we
talked about his ambition as a.
His ambition to go DJ in San Francisco, the big city.
Maybe that's when he hears about. Maybe that's when that plans is like, okay, I've got to do an audition tape, and put this together.
Right.
Because she'd come again, I think, after that, after the key incident.
Yeah,
Or did she break into his house? Is that when they break into the house in the middle of the night?
No, that's later.
Is that later?
Yeah, that's later.
Okay,
that's later.
You're jumping too far now.
Damn it! I thought that was the one where, because he had met up with Tobie. He met up with Tobie the night before. Am I sure? Because then that night because he meets with Tobie, then he meets with her again, and I thought it was right after that she comes into the house.
No,
assuming she was sleeping with another woman.
You're way off base.
Thank you.
Fucking do your homework.
I did it. I just remember.
So no, but what happens is after she's doing the key exchange and they're having a little thing, he drives off. But you got to remember what she was dressed in. Remember what she was dressed in? She had it was kind of like a raincoat. There was nothing on underneath.
Oh yeah.
That's right.
So
okay.
She was there for a reason.
Yeah.
She's dressed in that because he leaves. He gets his keys. Finally goes. He's gonna go prep his material for this gig that he's trying to get. He gets home, and then she shows up at his house.
That's right. Still wearing the coat thing.
And then she sheds it. Like, hey, and then he sees a naked woman. And he's like, come inside.
Well, first,
I was saying,
I thought he was going to throw her out. Like, I thought he's like, get inside so the neighbors don't see you. And then I thought he was going to throw her.
I had that's just individual interpretation. Because I was like,
well, he does kind of look around though. He's like, oh shit,
He was worried about the neighbors seeing for sure. For sure. But then it's like, dude, she is. Stop it.
Yeah.
At this point, you're just bringing it on yourself. You got to stop screwing her, man. Like, after what just happened, you are still going after this woman. You're still going to sleep with her. I don't know what to tell you. This is where
that's when you're thinking with the wrong head.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, there's just no brain up top at this point. It's gone.
Yeah, because the next day, she invites Dave to dinner, right? And what does he reply with?
I'll call you.
I'll call you. So he's trying
He's trying to ghost her.
He's trying to ghost.
He's trying her.
100. He's like, okay, I'll call you. I got you.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Ghosting before it was cool.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. That's Eastwood.
Then he goes back to work, and this is where he's working on the tape for Madge Brenner. Madge is the lady that's gonna potentially offer him the job in San Francisco. She's a radio station owner. And then what ends up happening is Evelyn calls Dave a few days later, and she kind of has this weird interaction with him about forgetting their date that she set up while he said he would call her. He never really committed to it.
Yep. Right. Yeah.
But she called and was like, you stood me up, and Dave's like, well, what the hell? I said I'd call. I didn't.
Yeah.
So that's basically what ends up happening there. I'm missing something here. We're gonna edit this.
Well, there's also the part where the neighbor's outside. I don't know if we skipped over that.
Oh, and when
it's in the middle, it's like early morning. The neighbor comes outside. He's like, "Hey, people are trying to sleep." And
like, people are trying to
flips
talk.
out
Yeah.
on him. She goes, people are trying to talk. And she starts honking the horn. And that's actually where I actually saw a little emotion out of Clint Eastwood.
I believe that's the first encounter, the first night of sleeping together. Or is it the
yes.
night after
I
they
think
had dinner
I think it's the night where she showed up.
with the groceries?
With
The night following the
Yeah,
groceries.
yes,
so.
yes,
I think
yes,
so.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm getting twisted on mine too now.
Although I think it's
Your
after
homework.
she calls those guys assholes, because that was like
Trying to carry a podcast here, all right? Fucker.
I think it's after she called those guys assholes, because I remember when she called them assholes, I was like, holy shit. But later on, that just escalated with the neighbor,
Yeah,
she's
because-
like laying on the horn, she's screaming at him, and Clint Eastwood actually shows a little emotion there, like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What the fuck? And it's the first time I've actually seen him, at least in this film, actually kind of go over the top for him. Yeah,
Yeah,
he had
that's
two
right.
eyebrow twitches then.
And definite nose flares.
Yeah, exactly.
His
Definitely nose
eyebrow
flares.
twitches twice.
Yeah.
Actually,
Now
I've
we
never
know
noticed
shit
the
is
nose flares.
serious. Oh, man, that's funny.
So, okay, so then
I'm just doing a little refresh here.
you're fine. So, see, I thought that was a little earlier with the, because when he stands up for the date, is it that night that she comes then?
So here's what happens.
Okay.
So
'cause-
this is where we're going to pick it up.
all right.
So a few days later, Evelyn calls Dave to chide him, to get upset with him for forgetting their date. And Dave's irritated. Then he's determined to tell her that the relationship's over. He convinces himself, hey, okay, I'm really going to tell this girl that it's done, and I don't know what we're doing here, but it's not going to continue.
Yeah.
And then she's at his house, and Dave basically tells her to leave.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Or am I jumping now? See, I'm getting twisted. No,
No, I think you got it.
because this is where it starts to get dark too.
Yeah.
Because she's at the house, Dave finally tries to put an end to it,
Oh, yes. Yeah.
and she starts sobbing and crying and really expressing her love for him. And they've only known each other what seems to be a few
few
days.
days.
Well, she
Yeah.
even says to him, don't you love me anymore?
Yeah.
You don't love me anymore?
Then
he's
we
like,
know.
I never said.
And he's like, I never told you I loved you.
But this is that escalation that I loved
Yeah.
about her character.
Sure.
Oh my god.
Sure.
When you think it couldn't get any crazier, she gets more batshit crazy.
She's just convinced herself that all these things are true, and it's bizarre.
And finally she's like, okay, maybe she does. That's where she does those reversals too, because after he's like, what are you talking about? She goes back to saying like, hey, okay, maybe it's best if I just leave. Let me go wash my face in the bathroom.
Okay, but she does, just to make sure I'm clear on the scene, she does storm in and look at the bed to see if there's someone there.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so okay.
Because she's got because up to this point, she's also seen
Oh yeah, she
Dave
was
with
peeping
Tobie
Tom
because
with,
she was
yeah,
watching them on the beach. She was following Dave,
Yeah,
and she saw that he was, they had an interaction there.
that was a great shot, by the way. Just
The
her,
zoom in?
yeah,
It is
yeah.
the zoom, yeah.
That was great.
It shows Dave and Tobie on the beach,
And
and,
then-
they're having an intimate moment, and then all of a sudden not even the push in, the zoom,
Yeah.
and you see Evelyn in the backdrop.
Yep.
I thought that was a cool
It was
shot.
creepy.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
great.
But she knows, so she stormed in because of that. She thought someone was there, and then has this crazy interaction, and basically Dave's like, we're done, it's over. She goes crazy. Then she goes in the bathroom. You think that it's almost going to kind of mellow out there, almost like she has some sense of rationale.
I didn't know what was going to happen.
What was that sound, by the way?
But when she said, I have to go let me go wash my face.
I was like,
I was like,
oh,
don't
shit.
let her,
Yeah,
something. I don't know what she's going to do,
but it's something.
but she's going to manipulate you even more. I had no idea it was going to go that dark, though.
It went dark quick
Very dark.
because she gets in the bathroom, and Dave starts to get a little concerned. And he goes over and knocks on the bathroom, and then another zoom, actually, because he knocks on the bathroom
Yep.
door, breaks it down, essentially, and the push-in zoom is her face, and then it follows and pans down, and we see her wrists all cut up, and she's
There's bleeding everywhere.
bleeding everywhere.
Blood all over the bathroom.
So she's basically attempted suicide. Or it's really just a maneuver.
It's a total manipulation.
But what's this So the follow-up to that is he has some guy there that appears to be a friend that's a doctor.
That's what I never figured out exactly.
I was trying to figure out the logic here.
It was almost like the underground like doctor that everyone
mob
calls
doctor
when
or
mob
something.
doctor.
Yeah,
That's kind of I was like
I mean, Dave's a DJ, so he's got like the connections to the underworld.
Apparently, DJs make a shitload of money, and they got all the underworld connections,
get rid of this body for me.
and they get all the
They
ladies.
get all the ladies. Because the follow-up scene after he finds her in the bathroom, it just cuts to this scene with him talking to this guy.
Yeah.
That's
that drugs her.
the drugs. No, I mean, look, I think if you're looking at it logically, you're only assuming that he's some kind of physician.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's sutured her up. He also says that they were pretty superficial. The cuts weren't,
Which plays into that same
Yeah.
thing. It was like
Yeah.
she did just enough to bleed, but didn't really want to die.
Right. Right.
But that's deep and dark. That's like
It's
this is
really dark.
taking this whole other.
Mhm.
That's when it really. That twist is pretty intense. When you're
Sure.
watching that, you go, "Wait a minute! This is not the movie I set up to watch."
No, it's
Ha-
the tone changes completely.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's one thing. That's one kind of critique I have on it, which is directorially, like there's good things he does and bad things he does, but what I never loved about the film was that the tone or the tonality of the film always changes. Because at the beginning, like we talked about, you have this font type and this kind of get up music, jazz music, and it feels like something different. And by that time, now the tone's completely dark. It's completely unassuming to what at least the original setup to the movie was.
Yeah.
Totally.
You know?
Totally.
So it takes a pretty deep dive into this dark territory. The doctor fixes her up, and Dave actually goes into having a little sympathy at this point.
Yeah.
You know,
And I think he's scared too. I think he has no idea what to do at this point, because the way he's just staring off when she kind of cuddles him when they're in bed. And
well, real quickly, I hate his logic too. Dave's.
what's that?
Dave tells the doctor says, or who we're assuming to be the
Yeah,
doctor.
sure.
Mob
He
doctor.
says, yeah. Don't report it. Because the doctor goes, I need to report this if I'm playing by the book here.
Right.
Right.
And Dave's like, well, just don't do it. Tobie's back in town. Like, that logic to me is crazy.
Well, and he says that he wants to tell her. He doesn't want her to read it in the papers.
That's
Bullshit.
what I mean.
Bullshit.
That logic's
It's
so
such
crazy.
bullshit. Yeah. I'm not buying it.
No, penis logic, it makes perfect sense. He doesn't want...
Exactly.
Yeah, penis-
exactly.
True.
It's penis
He
logic.
doesn't want to have to explain how he got into this situation.
Yeah, that some
Yeah,
chick
well,
is at
that's
his house.
all it is.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think
Slitting
what I
wrists.
mean is that I hate that that's his like.
Oh, me too,
It's
yeah.
so serious of a topic. Like someone's trying to commit suicide, and you're worried about exposing your,
1971, baby. 1971.
Well, and how come
She's all tweeting it now.
everyone knows about Tobie and Dave? Like, they must have been a really hot thing.
Well, Dave's DJ. Remember, he's known around town.
But it's like everyone seems to know Tobie too. It's like, well, Tobie's back in town. Oh, Tobie. Okay, well now we know it's serious.
And her character never really develops wholly.
No.
So you don't know.
There's
but
a lot missing there.
You know that she's an artist of some type.
Mm-hmm.
She's a painter / sculptor, that kind of thing.
Obviously smokes a lot of weed.
Smokes a lot of weed.
And they
With Almonte.
Yeah.
with Almonte, yeah.
Almonte's smoking doobs in the
Oh,
back.
dude, he's having a good old
that
time,
dude,
man.
the best character of the film.
Absolutely.
Well, Evelyn, but Almonte's pretty hip.
I'd hang with him.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
He's doing some nose candy in the back too. Like, there's no way.
Sure.
Man. He's bebopping around that studio. Like, he's got it going on.
Like, why isn't he the night guy? Like,
Right. Yeah.
Well, I think he is. I think Dave's the late night
He's
guy.
like Dave's the overnight guy. I think. Yeah.
Because Dave's only pushing a 5-hour shift,
Yeah.
and he says nobody listens.
Yeah.
So, but she's still at, and it says in the layout of the film, it says it's Dr. Frank that tends to Evelyn.
Okay.
So it is apparently a doctor. But
Dr. Franks and Beans.
He's in for one scene.
he's in there for one scene. Evelyn now she's supposed to be doped up. She's supposed to be. He said he hit her up pretty good. She should be sleeping for a while.
That's the other thing I don't understand. How? I mean, he's a doctor. He obviously knows how to dope up a patient. How is she just awake?
When you're that crazy.
I guess the crazy just.
She's only awake for that second, though.
Is that what it is?
Because it actually shows her eyes.
She kind of like goes.
I thought she was faking it. Like I thought she was faking when she closed her eyes. She was faking being asleep.
Well, it shows that shot of her listening in on the conversation between Dr. Frank and Dave, and then she closes her eyes. So what she hears is like, you know, she overhears Frank talking about Dave to keep her calm and like make sure you watch after her and all these kind of things, and she shouldn't be out by herself, that kind of stuff. And then I think she fades asleep.
Okay.
I think at least that's what they're trying to insinuate.
Gotcha.
No, she gives the Dr. Frank a BJ in order to fake like she's been so she can listen in.
We haven't got to the porn yet.
Yeah, it's coming up. It's coming up. That was off screen.
But she's now doped up. The next day, Dave attempts to leave, right? He wants to go see Tobie because they had arranged this thing where they're going to go to a party and they were going to hang out. Dave's really trying, in a sense, to really get back with Tobie, this girl.
Yeah.
So this is where it's like, how is she going to get out? How is Evelyn going to, and she has the fake nightmare.
That's right.
She's screaming in the other room, right? Because she knows that Tobie's on the other line, so they have a conversation. He hangs up. You hear her screaming. He runs in like, what's going on? She's like, I had a dream. I had a dream that I was drowning and you were just standing there on the beach.
More manipulation.
Hell,
more manipulation.
This girl's got it.
She's got all the tricks.
She's like the first Gone Girl.
Yeah, for real.
Do you know what I mean?
100%.
That power of like manipulation, she's great.
Yeah.
Evelyn's fantastic. Basically forces Dave to stay there and kind of and out of, I guess, some kind of sympathy. Does he have? Is it sympathy, or is
he's scared?
I think he's scared. He's just really trying to protect his own interests.
Totally.
Right?
No, he's 100%.
Dave doesn't give a shit about anybody else but him. I mean, I think he likes Tobie, but I also think he thinks she's gonna make him happy.
Yeah.
And just like this new job in San Francisco is gonna make him happy.
Yeah.
I don't think he really is concerned about anyone but himself.
He's a narcissistic prick.
Totally.
Douchebag.
So, but he does stay with Evelyn for the night. Like he kind of holds her and like she's playing into it, of course, but he is quote unquote there for her physically, right? The next morning, we get a glimpse into Birdie. Birdie, we find out is,
but he does blow off the thing with Tobie to stay with her.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
There's something there. That he's kind of feeling for her, not in a real way, but just feeling sad for her or sympathetic.
I thought that kind of threw me off too. I'm like, just leave this girl. It was weird that he stayed there.
I don't know, but then you get later in the story, like, do you want to leave her at your house by herself?
Right.
But the next day, and Dave by this time has moved. He's not sleeping with Evelyn. He's not in the same room. He's on the couch.
Yeah.
All laid out, and Birdie, who's his housekeeper.
Again, housekeeper. How's he afford to?
Yeah, right.
Like I can't afford a goddamn housekeeper.
She comes in, and she's great, by the way. Her character's fun.
Oh, she's great. Yeah.
Comes in and is like, doing her thing.
Well, yeah. She comes in. She kind of chastises him and says, "Hey, I put this off far enough.
Yeah,
What's
that's
going?
right.
Yeah." And it's like, no, we're doing this today. I don't give a shit what you
desperately
think.
wants her to come back another day, like bad.
Yeah.
She's like, no.
And she's kind of giving him shit. She's, you had a rough night. Who's in your bed? What are you doing?
She knows who he is as
totally,
a person.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
She knows there's a woman somewhere hiding or around.
She actually calls like, "Who? Hello."
Yeah.
And then it's revealed that Evelyn's actually gone. Dave jumps up and he's like, Evelyn. And then,
I found your girl.
And then there's a note left there. And I loved this shot. I love this transition because there's a note there that Evelyn left Dave. And she's like, I just went out to get some breakfast or whatever. And there's a little joke in there. And then she's like, if you can't find your keys, don't worry. I took your car. And as soon as it says that, it does this cut shot with a zoom out. And it shows Evelyn at the key maker.
Yep.
And you're like, oh, shit. She's making keys at Dave's house. I love that transition.
Was great, yeah.
She is just so goddamn sneaky.
crazy.
I mean, she knows exactly what she's doing this entire time.
Aisle 9 at Home Depot. That's right where she went.
Yeah, exactly.
So she goes in to get groceries and get breakfast and stuff. And she comes back.
Hides the key.
She hides the key she secretly made a copy of. And then
after she makes sure it works, I just thought that was kind of a nice little touch. She makes sure the key works before she hides it.
Oh, yeah.
She
Yeah.
I thought that was an interesting little character note. Like, I'm not going to
Thank
chance
God to
this.
that key maker that it worked.
Yeah.
Otherwise, she might be coming back slitting throats.
Well, she does anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Key or no key. Dave receives a call from Madge. Madge is the station director, the one in San Francisco. She's like, hey, let's have lunch. So Dave's on his way out as Evelyn's on her way in.
She basically tells him he's got the job.
Yeah.
She says, there are other people we're looking at, but we really, really like you. She basically says you have the job.
Yeah.
And this scene, this scene's great. Because he goes to lunch with Madge, and Madge, they're at lunch, they're eating, and like you're saying, hey, there's 2 other guys in the running, but I'm really liking what I'm seeing, and you're going to be doing this, you're going to be working here. And then all of a sudden, you're like, oh, Dave might get the job. And then you hear a voice, and it's Evelyn. And she's like, oh, is this your business meeting? And she starts going off about how this lady's old. She thinks that Dave is stepping out on her with this old lady. That scene, and immediately she goes off, calling the lady a bitch and doing all this crazy stuff, and basically cost Dave the job.
Totally.
Well, yeah, because you got this. I mean, that's another point where I thought he was going to hit her.
This is where I thought, oh, he's gonna lay into her. This is not good. Like I'm gonna have to now start feeling sorry for the psychopath.
Well, and
Clint Eastwood would beat the shit out of her.
I thought that was going to be. I kind of thought, I was like, he's going to hit her, and he's going to turn around and realize he just hit a woman in front of his new boss.
Right. That's what I thought was going to happen. I thought that was going to be the reason for losing the job.
But he was still pretty physical with her. I mean,
Totally.
He wasn't gentle taking her out. And I was like, let's just go this way. He's like, no, motherfucker, I'm sick of you. I'm throwing you in a cab. Get the fuck out of here.
But you know how much restraint? I mean, now I don't love Dave, and I don't think any of us do in terms of who he is as a person. But I do sympathize here.
You're putting yourself in his shoes.
Up my.
I'm
what would I
finally
do?
like, oh shit, I would be so irate.
Well, yeah, put it. Yeah, so there's a producer that's wants to
Giving
buy
you
your
a job.
script, and hey, we want you to direct this film or whatever. It's like, and then some psycho bitch that you've only known for 3 days comes in and fucks it up. Yeah, I'd be pissed too.
It's a job you've been working for. You've been dreaming about. This is it. This is your big break. This is it. This is your one chance.
Yeah,
and she ruins it.
And he grabs her and basically forcefully, essentially extracts her from the restaurant, throws her in a cab.
And what she's saying and the way she's doing her actions in the cab, where this is the one part where it was a little disingenuous. Jessica Walter's performance, where she's kind of clawing at him outside of the window. I love you, and it just seemed kind of half-hearted, kind of half-assed.
And also, one thing technically in this part of the scene when they're dragging out, listen in closely next time you watch this film, because I know you're going to watch it again. The Foley and the ADR is not good.
No, it's not good.
You can hear the over-exaggerated footsteps up the stairs and through the street. You can hear the over-exaggerated breaths from Clint Eastwood that they're ADRing later.
Can you imagine being in an ADR booth with Clint Eastwood and just saying, just breathe? Just breathe. I mean, I don't even know what that looks like. That was a damn good impression,
That was
Brandon.
pretty good. Do that again.
again.
But anyway, yeah, and this is the one slip up of all her great performances and scenes throughout the film. I agree. I can see where you're coming from. This is a little too much. She tries to extend it a little too far.
Right, and I don't want to nitpick because I thought she was fantastic.
She's fantastic. Yeah, we're just being nitpicky.
Yeah,
but that's our job.
That's what we do.
That's what we're doing here. So, and he comes back and realize, and Madge, the station owner, has left his portfolio on the table, which is basically indicating, hey, I'm out of here. You're crazy. You're dealing with a crazy bitch, and I don't want that in my program.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Side note: the name of the production company is on there, on the demo tape.
What is it?
Whatever it is.
Malpaso.
Malpaso.
Yeah, Malpaso Productions.
Yeah, Malpaso Productions. A little trivia there for you,
yeah.
for you listeners. I
So-
like that shot. Yeah, I was kind of like, oh, damn it.
Deflating.
Yeah.
and that's where I think it is still good, because even though there's still a little, in terms of the plot line and how they structured it with the character, like you still kind of feel sad for, you're like, damn, he didn't get the job.
Yeah.
You know, like I say, I don't love Dave as a character, but I was still like, damn, this crazy bitch messed that up.
Yeah.
So Dave then goes to Tobie's house and he confesses like the situation.
Yeah.
He basically is like, he lays it out. Do you know what I mean?
And there's a little bit of character arc here, a little bit of growth with him because...
Finally there's a little change.
Right. But still, it felt like the way he said it was like, I can't lie anymore. I have to be on it. It almost felt like he's trying to make himself look good. And it still felt a little like he's really looking out for number one.
Yeah.
He's not really worried about bringing his girlfriend into the fold and telling her what's going on. He's more worried about getting in trouble.
Right. But he does confess.
He does.
And while he's out confessing, now Birdie, his housekeeper, returns to the house. And as she gets in the house, there's all this stuff destroyed. The house is just destroyed.
Like really destroyed. Not in your normal. I mean, it's
ripped to
fucked
shit.
up.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Everything, furnishings, stuff's cut up. Dave's clothes are like hanging on mannequin heads or statues. I mean, like sculpted statue.
Yeah.
Like it's it's a little it's crazy. And Birdie walks in, and Evelyn gets surprised by Birdie. And this is where it gets another level again. It's like, it just keeps going. This is what I do like about it, is it just keeps escalating. Birdie just starts slashing. She has a knife because she's been cutting stuff up.
Evelyn starts slashing.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
She has a knife because she's been cutting stuff up. But Evelyn slashes Birdie's throat, just starts going in. And I like the way they filmed it.
Yeah.
Which was like, we never really got outside of it. It was
Right.
all close up, all tight. A lot of movement. You can't quite see everything and all the actions that are going on, and I like that claustrophobic approach to the design of the scene to show her just going nuts.
It very much reminded me of the shower scene in Psycho.
I was just going to say the same thing.
Yeah, it's
Same
just
thing.
that same. It was almost an homage in a way.
It kind of felt like it.
Didn't it feel like it was a,
Well, this story in general has a little bit
That's
of
true,
that
yeah.
reversal, like the craziness.
Yeah.
I mean, Norman Bates is a male, Evelyn a female, but they're both crazy.
Yeah.
End up both being murderers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there is a little bit of that there too.
Yeah.
I don't think that Play Misty for me is maybe artistically as done.
Oh, no.
As something like Psycho.
Right.
you know.
No,
But
yeah,
there's a little homage there.
It
Yeah.
seemed like so.
She slashes her repeatedly with the knife, and Dave arrives as Birdie's being taken away.
Best line in the film.
What does she say?
She says, it's going to cost you double to clean all this up.
Yeah, that's right.
Best line in the film. I loved it. I was like, I love this woman.
Yeah.
I love Birdie. Thank God she's still alive, and goddamn, I just love that.
That was the big thing. I was like, I hope Birdie's not dead.
Yeah,
because
me
she's
too.
fun.
I
Me
thought
too.
she was dead from the first slash. I'm
I
like,
did
oh,
too.
I
God.
did too.
Yeah.
I did too.
Because I was like,
like,
that's a
shit.
throat slash.
Yeah.
So that
Straight up.
she's dead. But fortunately, she does live.
She's just tough old lady.
She's a tough lady.
It takes
I
more
love
than
that
that.
line.
though.
That's a great line.
Best line in the movie. I loved it.
He arrives. She's being taken away. The police are there. We meet Sergeant McCollum, and he starts questioning Dave about Evelyn. And
He
Dave,
bugged me.
I liked him because I thought he was a
Like-
throwback to that just dragnet 70s
Yeah, it felt
cop.
like Joe Friday for sure.
Exactly.
But
Joe
it was the first interaction. I didn't get what they were going for. It felt weird. I didn't know, is he a suspect? Is he not a suspect? What is going on here?
Maybe that's
I didn't
what
like
bugged
their
me, yeah.
interaction. Later on, I love their interaction.
I do
thought they
like
played
it-
each other really well.
Right. I do like in the scene, though, where Sergeant McCollum is like, he's trying to get information about Evelyn, and Dave's very, of course, he doesn't know a lot about her, to be honest. And he's like, I don't know that. And McCollum's like, you don't know anything, do you?
Yeah.
And then I like the line where Dave says to the sergeant, he's like, well, what she needs is psychiatric help. And the sergeant's like, you think?
Oh, really?
Oh, really? Oh, really? Like, really, Dave?
No
Right,
shit,
right.
Sherlock.
Yeah.
I thought that was funny. This interaction, we don't really go anywhere with it in terms of their relationship grows a little bit towards the end, But this first one, I think where they're building it is like a little bit of clashing between the two of them. And I think that they build that in there because later on they actually kind of join forces, so to speak.
Sure. But they still kind of play, like they give each other shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In a fun kind of banter way.
Right.
Yeah. And so now it's set up. I mean, Evelyn's obviously attacked someone. They take her into booking. She's nearly killed Birdie. And some time passes, and Dave and Tobie are kind of reconciling, and it's now kind of almost, it's got to be months later or a few months later.
Right.
And they go to a jazz festival in Monterey, which is actually musically a cool part of the film.
Yeah.
Well, first, we get to the porno.
That's right. When I said reconcile, that's what I meant.
Right. And it is just Clint Eastwood giving himself an excuse to make out with a chick in many different setups,
100%,
many different locations, and it's just playing this weird music, and it plays
It's so 70s.
Skip.
And I kept thinking I was actually going to start fast forwarding because it was like, what are you fucking kidding me? Like this is going to go on forever. But I thought for sure I was going to miss something important if I fast forwarded. No,
you don't.
And then it goes to another song. It cuts away from that, and it goes to another song, and I can't remember what this was. And then it goes to a third song right in a row at the jazz festival, and there's no reason to be at the jazz festival.
Why are they there?
I have no fucking idea.
He's a DJ, though. He likes jazz.
I understand it, but did it serve the plot at all?
No.
The only information we got was a new roommate is moving in to his girlfriend's house.
Yeah.
That was a real festival, by the way.
It felt like it.
They just did it live.
Were they investors in this movie or something? Like it just.
No, they ended up doing was just getting in partnership with the festival that was going on, and they were filming, and they just shot live footage.
Yeah,
but nothing happened.
Eastwood is a jazz aficionado, though.
He is.
Is he really?
Yeah.
So that might be his little.
But nothing happened. It was just people dancing and bands playing and them walking around.
There's a good 10, well, maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's 7, 8, 9 minutes worth between the reconciliation, a.k.a. the porn montage.
The porn montage.
I'd say soft porn. It's not.
Yeah,
it's
not
soft
real porn.
porn.
Yeah,
not real porn.
Does this have a rating? Did it rate? I don't know if it.
We'll get into that.
Okay.
I don't know. It has a rating, but I don't know what it is. All movies have ratings.
Got to be R.
Not all movies. It's only if they submit it. They submitted it.
It's a real movie.
Because it wasn't PG and they didn't have PG-13 back then. So
no.
Yeah.
It was probably R. We'll get into that. But yeah, there's about 7, 8 minutes there that are just kind of like dragging on with no.
Yeah.
And I agree with that. Like there's no information being revealed. The only thing that eventually gets revealed once they get to the jazz festival is that she has a new roommate named Annabelle.
And I knew at some point Evelyn was going to be a roommate. I just it was setting up that way.
Tobie ditches Dave at the jazz festival to go get her new roommate,
right?
Annabelle. That's basically the biggest piece of information that gets revealed later.
Well, as they kept talking throughout the film, and they're saying, "Oh, so and so's moving out, and so's moving in," and Clint Eastwood's getting a little annoyed by it. I just kept thinking, well, how long till Evelyn moves in? I didn't know it was going to be a twist later on, but at some point it just had to.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler alert.
Which is fine. That's what we like on this podcast.
1971. If you haven't seen it by now, too damn bad.
But she goes and gets Evelyn. Then that night, Dave's at the station, and it's been months. And then all of a sudden, we get a call from a listener, right? And that listener says, "Hey, play Misty for me." And you're like, dun, dun, dun. You're
She's
like,
back.
And then they have this conversation.
And he's so nice to her.
He's like really kind of nice to her, but he's also, he's like, forget about it. I forgot about it, you know? And then she's like, I got a job. She plays it off so well.
Yeah, she does.
She's like, I got a job in Hawaii. I just wanted to call and tell you, basically, like paraphrasing, I'm sorry for everything and all this stuff.
Which we knew was bullshit.
Oh,
I mean,
we did, but first off, why is Evelyn out after 3 or 4 months?
That's what I don't understand.
Maybe she slashed some people at the...
Yeah. I mean, attempted murder.
Because I was trying to figure out later, because McCullen comes in and talks to Dave about Evelyn being released. But I was like, did Evelyn escape? Because it felt so soon in what she had done to Birdie like, how did she get released so
Right.
quickly?
Well, maybe it's just
attempted murder.
Totally. Brutally, too. Brutally.
Not just,
she knows how to manipulate people. Who knows? Maybe she worked her way
Could
through
be.
the system and just.
Or they were like, we just got to get through this story. And
Don't worry about the details. Plot holes, huh?
We actually don't know how much time has passed. So
True,
maybe I mean, it seemed like months, but
The characters sure seem to think it was quick.
No, we kind of do. And
do we?
Correct me if I'm wrong, and I could be. We'll have to do a fact check later. Is it somewhere in the beginning of the movie, on the radio, the DJ Almonte, while you hear him after Clint Eastwood gets out of a car, you still hear the radio playing, and they're talking about the jazz festival being in 4 months or something.
Yeah,
like that.
you're right.
So from there to there was 4 months, and that was the jazz. So it's not really that long. You know what I mean? Anyway, fact check. But Evelyn calls, and she also gives a little hint into this. This is another little. I thought this was fun as a story plot. I mean, it's very not conventional, but it's kind of an easy out, which is okay. Sometimes I like those that they're just kind of on the nose. And she reads a line from an Edgar Allan Poe poem, because Dave likes poems and he reads poems on air. And the poem is it's a hint to really where she is and what she's doing, and she kind of reveals this to Dave through the poem. Evelyn does, and it's Annabelle Lee is the name of the poem by Edgar Allan Poe, and so she reveals this, and you kind of think, okay, maybe she's going, or she's not, but nonetheless. That night, this is where it gets crazy, because after she says she's going to Hawaii, she asks them to play Misty, kind of like as a last tribute. And then that night, he wakes up to hear the song playing in his bedroom, the Misty song in his bedroom, and he wakes up and it does a cut shot to her going in to stab him, and it's her holding the knife, and she's in the house and goes to stab him and misses. Dave's got hell of a reflex for having just woke up.
Yeah.
See, I thought it was a dream at first.
I
did too.
I'm still not convinced it's not.
I did too, actually, and it may be. I still may be convinced that it wasn't supposed to be a dream.
Because if it's not a dream, she's a goddamn ninja and just somehow snuck away.
Well, he didn't. Well,
it does show the shot, like when he falls off the bed and like is coming out of it, like there is a sense of like if you woke up and saw someone, you'd
turn it on pretty quick. But I mean, she saw the key to the house. I mean, he didn't know.
That's true.
And because the cop says you should change your locks after the fact.
Well, and and you see the knife in the pillow. There's actually a shot of that. The cop mentions something about the next time she tries to kill you.
Yeah.
So obviously it really happened, but how the hell did she get out of that? Where did she go?
She fled.
She's a ninja.
David Copperfield.
There's always money in the banana stand.
David, yeah. Nice.
She fled to the banana stand.
To the banana stand.
But he moves just as she attempts to stab him. She basically, I guess, it kind of did feel like it might have been a nightmare or a dream, but it probably happened in the movie. She escapes just before he can catch her. Dave calls the sergeant. They have another conversation. McCollum says, hey, she was released pending, further legal action, whatever that means. I don't know. He says something to that effect.
She posted bail.
Yeah. It wasn't bail, but it was some kind of thing. And McCollum's really on Dave about what her last words to him were. Online about the poem, and he can't remember. He's like, it was some poem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's like, it was just some poem, and I can't remember what it was.
I love that you're doing Clint Eastwood as a Muppet.
Yeah. It might be a better iteration. He should have went with the Muppet thing. So then he talks. So Dave talks to Tobie. Evelyn's been released. She's then she knows he's kind of they've already reconciled like we talked about, but Dave would then it goes to David that night. He's DJing, and McCollum thinks that Evelyn's going to call back, and if they do, they can trace her phone.
Yeah,
the phone call, right? And Dave's really worried about Tobie, right?
Yeah, he's actually showing concern for her.
Yeah. So he is a little bit. This is where there's another character shift there. Like you can actually see him growing a little bit in his Clint Eastwood way.
Yeah,
well,
as much as he can.
Yeah, no one's going to screw him now.
Now, the key point here is that McCollum says, "Hey, you got to be on the radio because we think Evelyn's going to call. We can trace her, but because Dave's so scared or worried about Tobie." McCollum says, "Hey, I'll go check on her." So McCollum goes to check on her, and as soon as he leaves,
well, really, before he leaves, I loved that his last line. I'm a public servant.
Yeah,
I thought that was
a little wink.
Yeah, I was like, okay, you guys have bonded.
Yeah.
Cool.
I
like that line.
I still like their dynamic.
This is where I really liked it.
I still like McCollum because he is
Public
Joe
servant.
Friday.
Totally.
But
That's
he
the facts,
leaves
man.
to go to, and this is what I hate because it's as soon as he leaves.
We know.
Well, no, I don't know that I didn't know. I don't recall knowing the first, but I just hate that immediately Dave now remembers what Evelyn said.
Right. Convenient.
Yeah, too late.
Convenient.
The convenience of it is like literally as he leaves, you have that spark of, and he recalls, and he goes and finds the poem from Edgar Allan Poe.
He doesn't even bother to text the sergeant to let him know.
He didn't text him. He didn't page him.
Didn't even send him a Facebook message.
Or at least a courier pigeon. I mean, something, for God's sake.
Then we have this intercutting. Dave realizes, so he throws on a tape he's still concerned about the show, mind you. Like a crazy bitch is after his girlfriend. Yeah. He still
has the presence of mind to actually put on a previous tape.
Oh, no, okay. See, I read that differently. I read that
that's what it is.
I read it was, I have to keep the show going so that Evelyn doesn't know what's going on. That's where I went with it.
But he knows Evelyn. Oh, well, no, he knows Evelyn.
No, that makes sense.
He knows Evelyn is at his girlfriend at what's her name?
Well, yeah, but
Tobie at Tobie's house.
But I read that as he can go there stealthily because if she hears him on the radio, he can go there.
I think
that's where I went.
Evelyn knows immediately, and he knows that Evelyn knows that he's bailing.
Well, he calls to the house.
Well, yeah,
and then Evelyn answers,
and doesn't she say something like
we're waiting
for you, so she knows.
But I still mean once he gets verification that Evelyn's there, he still has the presence of mind to run the tape.
It's so funny.
Okay,
so funny.
Well,
so your point just got busted the shit up.
No. Wait a minute.
You can justify it. You can pull out of this one.
Even then, I still think that could be a stealth move. Like, okay, we're waiting for you, but he's still on the radio because they were listening,
right?
And she wouldn't know it's a tape because that was a tape he made specifically for her thing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hold that. That might be
strong.
That might be a part of it.
He even gets on the mic.
Yeah.
Like he even gets on the mic to say it's 5 hours of music.
Yeah.
It's like, and then I thought he was just gonna play music the rest of the time, but
it's a pre-recorded tape of something.
It's probably his air check tape he was gonna give to the.
Well, that's what I thought. Yeah, it's like, I've got this.
Was.
I can do this, and I can be stealthily, or it's what you guys said. But we'll ask Clint. Clint, if you're listening, can you clear this up for us?
But at this point, the big reveal, the thing that matters, is that while this is happening, we're back at Tobie's house, and her roommate's making a drink, some tea or something, and then it's revealed that the roommate is Evelyn.
Right.
The big reveal.
Well, and when she was revealed, I thought that it was going to be a shock to Tobie. Like, I didn't know this chick was in my house, but then.
She's the roommate.
Right,
right?
I know. It took me a second to put that together. I thought, oh God, she snuck
in
in the
me
house.
too. I'm like, why isn't she?
Oh, there it is. Yeah, exactly.
Well, Tobie realizes, and they do this once again. They
Zoom.
They use the zoom on the
still
cuts,
frame
Yep.
and
zoom.
a still frame.
Yeah, and they nailed on it.
It was like, I'm like, oh, well,
It pushes
guess
in on Evelyn's wrist with the cuts on her wrist from the attempted suicide, and then it does a still frame, a pause.
you can just see the in the editing room. God damn it, Clint! Just hold on it for 5 fucking seconds,
Dude,
so we don't have to do a goddamn still
As an
frame.
editor, the director is like your worst enemy.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It's the worst thing in the
It's like,
world.
what are you doing?
That's exactly what he said too.
let it. Now, does Clint do cuts?
No, he didn't edit it.
No.
he didn't.
I'm sorry. Does he yell cuts on set? Is he responsible for not having enough
That's
coverage?
that one I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know that he does. There's something I read. I know the initial
The
action
action,
he
sure.
does. There's something I want to say. I could be off here, where he says something to the line of like, "Okay, that's good enough." But I don't know on that cuts. I'm not as sure. But nonetheless,
It's clearly his fault though that the
it's
coverage.
clearly he did
Hold
not
on,
get that.
hold on that wrist.
How hard is it to hold on that wrist
Yeah.
for 10 seconds?
Exactly.
So,
It's an important point. It's an important plot point.
but so important that they decide to do a still frame, and this is an indicator to Tobie from her POV that she now has put 2 and 2 together.
Mm-hmm.
And then I love it though because Evelyn calls her. She says, "You're so dumb."
Yeah.
Evelyn tells Tobie
Love
that
it.
she's so dumb. I loved that.
And that was Bluth all over the place.
Totally,
that was such a
totally,
Bluth
totally,
moment.
yeah.
Like, are you
That's
that
Lucille
stupid?
right there. Yeah.
Lucille, 35 years
Yeah.
earlier. Now McCollum arrives at the house. Dave's on his way, and it's doing this back and forth intercutting between Evelyn slashing with a knife the portrait that Tobie painted of Dave, slashing.
Yeah, I thought that was
slashing,
interesting.
And then it's cutting in between that, or intercutting, sorry, between that and Dave using the stick shift in his Jaguar, ripping up the canyon to try to get to Tobie's house. It was kind of a cool. I like the use of sound with it, and the back and where you hear the gear shift and then it cuts harshly, and you hear the rip of the painting.
Yeah.
It's a cool little editing
Yeah,
style.
that was fun.
But it's playing with that as McCollum finally gets to the house. And McCollum just gets taken out.
Immediately.
He's gone.
No fanfare, nothing. And this was very Psycho-esque, too, the way he got killed.
Yeah.
It's just basically a reaction. You don't never see the knife go into him. It's just a reaction shot.
It's very similar to the shot of, I want to say it's the detective, I don't remember the character, coming up the stairs on Psycho.
Exactly.
and
That's
the
exactly
reveal,
what I thought.
And then the shot of him Norman Bates slashing across the face.
And then falling down
and
the
then
stairs.
he falls down and he's
Yep.
dead. And yeah, similarly, like you get another little homage to Psycho here.
Right.
But McCollum dies and he's stabbed with scissors.
Yeah.
What a pussy.
I don't think Dirty
Scissors.
Harry would have been taken out by scissors.
Nah.
I know it's a movie. I'm not going to harp on it. How hard would it be to stab scissors in somebody's sternum?
I can't imagine it'd be an easy thing to do.
Well, they're Friskers. They weren't like. No, I'm just joking. Aren't that the brand of Friskers?
I have
Isn't that what
no
they're called?
idea.
Well, they weren't like safety ones. They were sharp motherfuckers. Those 70s, no safety.
But
it's hard to
still.
do.
But still, like it.
I'm just fucking with
I mean,
you.
they're big, burly scissors,
No, yeah.
but still.
But to stab through someone's sternum and just completely take him out, he dies. Evelyn gets her first official kill that we know of. We've been talking horror all last month, so
Official kills.
she got her official kill
She's at
on
1.
McCollum. She got 1 on the books.
She's got a ways to go to beat Leatherface.
Maybe. We don't know her history.
True.
So
True.
she might have kills all over.
She might. She probably
the
does.
Black
She's that
Widow.
crazy.
She is the
Yeah.
Black Widow, man.
Yeah.
She's
Just
that
going.
crazy. McCollum dives. Dave arrives. And Tobie's tied up.
Well, first he comes and damn, the officer's dead. Shucky darn. I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah. I know.
like,
his reaction.
come
yeah.
on, come on.
Shoot.
Well, darn it.
True.
Golly darn.
Darn it, McCollum. Sorry, buddy.
We just bonded too.
Yeah.
He arrives and Tobie's tied up.
Like,
Dave gets inside, goes to try to untie her, and then this physical altercation happens with Dave and Evelyn. She comes out raging. She cuts him.
She slices him up good.
She got him pretty damn good.
And he's just limping. That's his only injury. He's limping.
And they start to wrestle around the room. And this is the worst ending. I'm sorry. Dave,
I loved it.
comedically, I loved it. Tonally, once again, it's a shift in the film. It just doesn't. Let's wrap it up. Let's have Dave punch Evelyn in the face and have her fall off the balcony down the
But
cliff.
how satisfying was that punch?
The punch was pretty
Because
fun.
you've seen it coming the whole time. Like he wanted to so bad so
True.
many other times. And I think that was even kind of, they drove that point home quite a bit because the way it was cut and shot.
I think it's, to me, more the way that they executed it.
Yeah, oh, totally.
I think
totally.
that's probably what's harping on me a little bit.
I totally get it.
Because she just magically appears when he punches her, which is a fun punch because there's vindication to it.
Right.
But when he punches her, she just flies out the window.
Yeah, totally.
Like you could, I mean, okay, a punch from Clint Eastwood is gonna hurt, no
Right.
question, and there's some power behind
Especially in his prime.
it. In his prime, he's 40-something, 41 when they made this. 40,
Was he
41.
really?
Yeah,
Holy shit.
Wow.
I know. We're all pushing that, and he's like, he looked pretty good.
I
There's
know,
that
damn
shot,
it.
by the way, as we go
We're all-
back. There's a shot of him in whitey tighties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
You
That's
ladies
true.
out
True.
there.
Yeah.
So, what? He looks good.
He's got Walter
I know.
White beat.
You're
tell you
you're
that.
41, right? How old are you, Brandon?
I'm 41.
Do you look that good in whitey tighties?
Hell fucking yeah. No, I don't.
Own it. Own it.
I don't,
Hell no.
but I'm only 38, so I don't know.
I don't own whitey tighties. I wouldn't know.
That's the other point. Who owns those?
Yeah, exactly.
But do you fly out a window that's like, do you fly back 10 feet when someone punches you?
When you're that much rage, he could have been in San
I
Francisco.
think you just fall down.
No, you just fall down.
You
just
fall
fall
flat.
Yeah,
You'd
you
just
fall,
be knocked
yeah,
cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just hated how
I
she
almost
flew out.
would have rathered him hit her. She goes down cold and he throws her off the balcony.
I was just going to say, this is what I wanted to see, literally, and was him punch her, and then I wanted to see him WWE her off the, like, over,
Yes.
and then throw her off the
Yes,
balcony.
yes,
That would have
yes.
been funner.
And 12 seconds later, the movie's over.
Yeah. Well, and again, tonally, that would have been a shift too, but it would have made more sense.
I just
From a
didn't-
physical world point of view,
But
yes.
the
it would've
way
made more
she hit
sense.
the rocks on the way down,
That was great.
So good.
Great.
It was a good shot.
So good.
It was a good
I
shot.
Loved it.
And then
like, ooh,
basically,
oh.
Yeah,
Ooh,
exactly.
oh.
Like, oh fuck, she's dead.
she's dead. She's gone.
She's dead.
And then you're landing in the cold Pacific, and
Yeah.
it's over.
Yeah.
So
And that was a good shot of her too. The last shot
That was really
in the
her.
water. and
that
they-
aerial was great.
I don't know how they even did that.
So that's actually her too.
Yeah. That's
That
actually.
aerial shot
be
is
freezing.
Jessica Walter in the ocean.
Oh my god.
Yeah, for that long, because that's a long pull out.
That's a
from
very
the
long
aerial.
pull out. I don't know how they did it.
But it
Helicopter.
basically bookends the movie, which is now, that was the foreshadow at the beginning when he's standing on
Yep.
Tobie's porch looking for her. Now he's standing on the porch after basically going through this journey with this crazy bitch, and now she's dead.
Yep.
And there you go. That's the bookend of the film.
Well, she's not dead. She survives, marries a Bluth.
That's right.
I mean,
That's right.
I'm just saying. Got a little banged up is all.
So the one thing is, though, they stagger away from the house. It's that bookended shot. But the pre-recorded tape of Dave's plays Misty
Yep.
to
That would-
Evelyn for one last time.
But the song right before that, all of a sudden, like, it's this happy campy stuff, and they're like limping off screen, just completely. I was like, what? What?
That can work at times.
It
In
can.
like
I
a
don't
horror
think it-
movie, it can be creepy. It didn't work here. The music
No.
choice was all like it.
Like Die Hard, it works perfectly in Die Hard when they
Right,
start
right.
the Christmas music up, and that's
Right.
perfect. Didn't
Well,
work here.
And now that you tell me that Clint Eastwood is a jazz aficionado, it makes more sense. He's like, fuck, now I'm directing. I'm going to put in the music I want to listen to.
Yeah.
And it's really disco. It's not jazz.
That's
Like,
a
the
good point.
majority of this
Yeah.
movie is disco.
That's true.
And it doesn't fit, and I don't understand.
Except for the Jazz Festival.
the Jazz Festival.
Which was odd. There was some awesome music during that
Oh, there
festival.
was, for
that
sure.
trumpet player was killing it.
For sure, but that scene made no sense. Like
No.
there's the music choices in this movie are so ass backwards. I can't it drove me crazy. It
See,
absolutely drove me insane.
I would have
A
been
lot of crazy.
with playing Misty from that whole thing instead of why
Right.
hit the and then the song's long enough because I mean the movie ends like immediately
and I
after
understand
that.
why they want to have him saying that on the tape. Like this one's for Evelyn one last time. They
But
want
why just start there?
I think. Yeah, I mean, I think you can do that, or you can just have it crescendo at the end when she's in the ocean. Like there's
Yeah.
a way to do it for sure.
I liked it. It
You liked it?
cheesily bookended it by doing one last dedication.
Oh,
to
I like
Evelyn.
that too. the music choice before then didn't make any
Oh
sense.
yeah, the pre-recorded.
And
well,
also,
well, that was his DJing style.
I just
He just wasn't a good DJ. There's no. We've talked about that.
he was not a good DJ.
He was not.
He couldn't even play music right.
yeah, he drives a Jag, but whatever.
He's got a housekeeper. We've talked about all these things. He makes lots of money for a DJ. I don't get it.
But he didn't have any money to get any credits besides the bright green.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
The Saul Bass font.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's
The bright
the worst
green. Yeah.
font. So there's the film. A lot of things going on. I think we covered it pretty well with some good analytical points and some viewpoints and some fun banter. Alan, where are we coming in at on a rating of this movie? Out of 10.
6.
6 what?
No,
Are we
5.5.
Are we still doing that, or are we moved?
5.5. Trumpets. I don't know. I have no idea. 5.5 trumpets.
Last impressions.
It's fine. It's fine. Like I will never remember it. If we weren't having a podcast about it, this is a movie that I would see and just immediately forget about. It's okay.
Okay.
It's definitely not depressing like other Clint Eastwood movies, so it's got that going for it. And it's fun to see where he was compared to where he is now. He's a much more capable filmmaker now. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying his movies are bad. They're actually too damn good. That's the problem. They depress me.
No, I 100% understand
So
what you're saying.
it's definitely good to see it's fun to see where he came from to where he is now. But it's fine.
Nice.
It's not bad, but not great.
Do you recommend people watch it?
No, there's so many other choices out. I mean, you're not gonna hate it, but there are better choices out there.
Okay. Brandon, where are you at on a scale of 1 to 10?
Kind of in the same ballpark as Alan, but a little higher, just because I always give extra points for performances, and
Good point. Good point.
Jessica's performance was it made the film watchable, honestly.
And Al Monte was great too.
And Almonte was great. So I will give it 7 demo tapes.
Nice. That's a good grade.
It's not bad.
It's not bad.
That's a damn good grade.
Again, it's a lot of it is attributed to Jessica.
Yeah.
We
Just-
know Alan typically is a low grader.
Mm-hmm.
Are you? What are you?
I've been typically a little higher.
You're a higher
I've
grader?
been in the 8s and 9s.
I fall into the higher scale as well
Mm-hmm.
because, and we've talked about this before on previous casts, like I always have that apologist standpoint
Yeah, for
as
sure.
a filmmaker. So I'm always like, good job, guys.
Yeah.
Remember we
you
talked
did
about
it. You
that.
did it. Good job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of that for me. Real quickly, we'll look at so a couple of the reviews. So IMDb has it at a 7 out of 10.
Oh.
So not crazy. Not bad actually though.
That's pretty good.
For IMDb, it's pretty good.
I'm wondering though if it was the same film directed by someone else, if it would be a lower score. I wonder if there's a Clint Eastwood bias in there.
Do critics like Clint Eastwood, do you think?
I think they do.
I couldn't tell you
I know as an
definitively, but I would
audience,
think
like
so.
general public and stuff, we all kind of, in some way, even if we don't love, like there's affinity for
Mm-hmm.
him because he is who he is. Do
But-
critics like them? or
But
no?
critics, I mean, $1 Million Baby was an Oscar winner.
Yeah.
I think Mystic River won a couple Oscars, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong.
I don't know that it got for directing.
Yeah, probably not directing,
But
but-
yeah, I think you're right.
So we had it 7 out of 10 IMDb. Rotten Tomatoes, 83% for the critics, 72% for the audience.
So not quite certified fresh. Got to be in the 90s for that bad boy.
Do you?
Yeah.
I think the ratio is what I would expect. I just would expect both scores to be lower.
Now, see, here's what's interesting about, these scores. I mean, I'd be curious of what the scores were. I mean, we didn't have those, but like at the time of the film's
Right,
release.
right.
Because it's been out for
It made a ton of money. I was
49
kind of reading a little bit.
years or something.
No, it did. It got 10.6 million at the box office, and it was
So-
made for just less than $1 million. So, not bad.
And again, he was already a name at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So I think
Yeah.
probably a lot of people
Well
went to go see. Hey,
curious.
it's Eastwood. He's doing a thing. you know?
Roger Ebert has it at 4 out of 4 stars.
Wow.
Wow. I'm really
He
surprised.
says
And
it's
that would have been then, right?
1971.
That's when the release came out. Okay. See, that's what I'm
he
more
says
curious
it's
about.
not the artistic equal of Psycho, but in the business of collecting an audience into the palm of its hand and then squeezing hard, it is supreme. So
That makes sense.
Yeah,
That
but
makes
sure.
sense.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it was an uncomfortable movie a lot of times,
Right.
because, again, giving a lot of credit to Jessica.
I usually
For
find
sure.
myself, I mean, so in terms of my rating, completely agree. I think we highlighted that. Jessica Walter, phenomenal. Performance is great. Eastwood is Eastwood. He has that DiCaprio thing where it's like, when I watch DiCaprio, I'm like, it's DiCaprio.
Right.
But I still like, it's not that I don't like their performance.
Right.
But when I watch them, I don't go, oh, that's that character. I go, that's Leonardo DiCaprio.
Right.
Oh, that's Clint Eastwood. Do you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
doing a good job still, but
That's Kevin Costner.
Right.
Need we? Yeah. I mean,
There are certain, there's other actors that don't, like, because I'll watch a Daniel Day-Lewis movie. Or watch, like I don't look at those and go, I'm in the character, and there's guys that I just,
Gary Oldman.
for sure. Yeah.
Gary Oldman.
He's a million people.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
So, but great performances. I think for a directorial debut, I always take that into consideration. I'm very, but at the same time, I think for being an actor for 17 years before you went and made this movie, to be honest, I want more out of Eastwood on this first film.
Yeah, I would agree with that, especially if he's been studying up, like he said, and he's hanging around and he's seeing how it's done. I would imagine. I mean, I understand missing some coverage. That's going to happen to anybody. But I would agree with that.
I wanted a little more out of him. I think he got out of his actors what he needed. I think Jessica Walter
Definitely.
on her own. And I think even his performance, like we alluded to, raises with hers, but not so far that it becomes, an impediment on the character. Like, I get it.
It is difficult to. I mean, I've been on a series where the director was also the main character. It's taxing. It's difficult.
I don't know how they do it.
I would consider that as well.
It is
Because
taxing.
to be able to act and direct at the same time is extremely difficult. That's a hard
Because you're just
mantle to carry. Yeah.
switching hats like super fast, and
But-
you got to jump back in, and
Like, if you look at other actors who have went on to direct in some of their first films, they're in terms of execution and quality, they far surpass this.
Mm-hmm.
I think of like Denzel Washington with like Antoine Fisher. That's a great movie. That's his first film as a director, and he kills it
Right.
from the execution standpoint. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
and I have to wonder if a lot of that comes with choosing the correct support crew.
Huge.
For
I
sure,
mean,
for
finding
sure.
an AD, first AD, and a second AD that's really going to get your back,
Yeah.
so you can focus a little bit more on the performance and something like that. And that might have
It does
not
have
not
some,
to demean, but I mean that's also part of the equation. I
no,
think
it does, and that definitely has something to do with it. I mean, initially the studio was behind him to direct it, but then they also wanted him to like there wasn't so much faith in him that they were like, we're going to give you all this big, huge budget in your first time. So he was willing to take some, considerations into the fact that he was going into direct for the first time.
Didn't he waive initially his director's
ended
fee or
up
something? And
Yeah, so
then
Universal
he-
Pictures basically told him, look, if you direct the movie, they agreed immediately. It wasn't as though they said no.
yeah,
But Eastwood, they were able to, in exchange for letting him direct, they wanted him to pay him less than his regular salary.
and then he takes some on the back end, right?
And then he ended up taking percentage of the gross, which it did well, so it turned out well for him.
probably got a little bit better on the back end than
Yeah,
it.
I would think so.
So my rating, I'm going to come in at taking all those things into consideration, I'm going to give it a 6.0.
Cool.
Filming was completed in a month. Couple trivia points here. So 1 month to film it.
Again, that's
Really
not.
quick.
Yeah.
It's quick, but not difficult considering what they were trying to achieve.
Not a lot of different locations and right.
No.
Yeah.
And they probably knocked all of those things out in like.
It was originally set up to be filmed in Los Angeles as the city. Eastwood was insistent that they move to Carmel up in Northern California.
Which is probably easier to film in.
Much easier.
Yeah.
Actually, the tone of it is better up there anyway.
Definitely.
So I think that's a good call on his end to move it there.
Wasn't he? Is he Doesn't he have some roots there?
Yeah, he lives there.
Oh,
Or he has a home there. The first movie for
And they
Clint Eastwood as
trashed
a
it for the-
director. The first for Don Siegel as an actor. It's the first film.
He
that
did
Don
good
Siegel,
too.
Yeah, as the
I
bartender.
actually really enjoyed that character.
And just as a side note, going in later, we talked about some of Eastwood's later films, Mystic River, $1 Million Baby, which are all produced by Warner Brothers. This is one of the films that is not produced by Warner Brothers. And interesting thought here, someone had mentioned that films such as Fatal Attraction and Misery drew heavily on this movie, developing their plot lines. So Fatal Attraction with its story of an affair that goes terribly wrong, and Misery with the idea of a story of a deranged fan terrorizing her idol, because
yeah.
Evelyn was also a fan of the show. So, it had some takeaways from later films as well. So, I think if anybody's a Clint Eastwood, I think the one thing I would say as we kind of wrap it up here is that if you're a Clint Eastwood fan, like a lot of people just like Clint Eastwood for who he is in general.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if that's the case, if you haven't seen the movie, it might be one to watch, because even though his character is Clint Eastwood, it's a different type of storytelling that you would be accustomed to from Eastwood, whether it's something later like
Right.
Mystic River or something before like an old spaghetti Western. This is a little thriller, horror, drama,
It is
crime. It's not in the same
interesting.
genre as other stuff he's done or did later.
You would never really expect him to do a film like this.
I agree.
It's very interesting.
And I like that he stretched it that way.
I do too.
I think at some point he was probably fed up with people calling him Dirty Harry.
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
The old spaghetti Westerns. Like he wanted to try something. So I applaud him for that. So I think if you're an Eastwood fan, because a lot of people are, you can go watch the film. If not, it's not one that you're going to miss out on necessarily. But once again, when you're a film historian or someone who's studying movies, go watch it. And there might be something you can pull from.
Oh, definitely.
Fans of Arrested Development should see this early role of honestly.
Also true.
Yeah.
She's Jessica Walter's the reason to watch this movie.
100%.
Without a doubt. The way, like I said, at first it felt weird that she's a seductress, and I'm used to seeing her as like a 7-year-old woman. It was a little bizarre, but she did fantastic.
Yeah.
She did fantastic, but just seeing her as a sex symbol was a little weird. made me feel feelings.
It's like, Mom, what are you doing?
Yeah, exactly.
But she was cute.
She was very cute. Yeah.
So if you want, go check it out. This is Play Misty for Me. This is Clint Eastwood's directorial debut. I think some things to watch and have fun with if you go and watch the film. This is Tame Aperture Podcast. You can go check us out at www.tameaperture.com. Going on all streaming platforms, YouTube and Facebook included. And we'll catch you next week with another film from a first-time director, Tame Aperture. This is the Tame Aperture Podcast signing out.
Do we still do sign-outs, or is just you the one?
Just me,
Damn it.
bitch.
I had one ready.
That was it right there. I just got it, calling you a bitch.
Oh. Well, I'm doing it anyway. You won't use it, but Tobie was the name of my first girlfriend.
Really?
It's true.
You didn't bring that up until now?
I was saving it for the sign-off. Last time I did a sign-off, you've gone away with sign-offs.
Well, don't step away from the podcast and come back and expect to be a power in this game.
Bitch.
The Tame Aperture podcast is produced by Dutch Angle Pictures in association with Studio B Productions. Listen, watch, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, and YouTube.